Can you guys hear me okay? Um, yeah, we're just here fucking waiting on Wick. God damn it. He said his power went out. So, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna keep you entertained while you sit here and, I mean, you guys can leave this running in the background and do other shit. I don't know when he's gonna get here. That's the problem. I don't know when he's gonna get here. I'll try to keep you entertained. What do you guys think about water? Pretty good, yeah. Dihydrogen monoxide. It it's a fun word. Dihydrogen monoxide. I think that's technically how you say it, right? I never got into stand up. Probably that's pretty evident. Okay, we're gonna be talking about when Wick does finally get here. We're going to be talking about Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely. And I wanted to know, you guys, if you want to give me some uh, cheat codes on the conversation. Anything interesting, any cool little tidbit that I don't know? Any evidence of racism? I mean, I know that the white man part of the trial that I think was pretty racist. But I mean, if there's anything else, uh, yes, I have racism. Maybe phrase that a little bit differently, Roland, but sure, go ahead. Oh my, I got a migraine. I've had it all day, but got a case settled. Um, so I hear what you're saying, Roland. I think one of the arguments though against this being racism is that like this happens all the time. Prosecution will give witnesses immunity in order to testify, otherwise they don't have anybody to testify. So, like for example, in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, that Gage Grosskreutz, despite the fact that he was illegally carrying a weapon and broke a number of other laws, I think he was given a immunity to testify. Like they promised they weren't going to pursue him, despite the fact that he was directly involved and he pulled a gun and aimed it at Kyle Rittenhouse, arguably committing a crime against Kyle Rittenhouse. But he was granted complete immunity in order to testify. So, and he, unlike Kyle Rittenhouse, he had an illegal gun too. So, not that I care too much about that because Second Amendment, but in terms of what he did with it, I think is pretty fucked. 17 minutes and no Wick. Jesus. How much? What's the over under on? He didn't actually. His power didn't actually go out. He's just got bored and is like, you know what? I don't want to do this fucking panel. Yeah, I've heard that story about the prosecutor with the prior, the black guy, the white man. Think in her opening, I think uh, that was either racism on her part or it was like a subtle way of trying to like get the jury to think about race and to think about what that has to do with it. That's what I think it was. What's up, NoCal? Wick, his power went out. So he's not here right now. I told everybody already, and we are just waiting on him to come back. It's looking, we're 20 minutes past schedule, and I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know if he's going to be showing up. I think we were going to have to perhaps push back the panel to a different day, and that's going to suck, right? It's going to suck. We got all ready. We got all the people ready. We advertised it. Whick advertised it, and now we can't. We just can't. We can't do it. Whick. So Darnitas, I don't agree that he's useless. Whick is my boy, but I will say that if we do it without him, Whick will be very upset. Whick will be very upset, and he because this was his stream. He still wants to do this panel, and I said yes. So can't you all set up a Discord call and just go at it? I mean, we could with no moderator, um, but I don't think that'd be a good idea. What's up, Sparkle Crotch Thoughty? Great name. Great name. I like it. He should tune in from his phone, although he wouldn't be able to stream it. But he could tune in from his phone and then make a tweet for everybody to come watch it on my stream. That's what he could do. That's what we could do. And also tell Artemis Fowl to send his donations to my stream. That's what he could do. One day I would have a salaries worth of donos. It's a great name, Sparkle Crotch Thoughty. I like it. Surprised you're able to get away with that on Twitch for this long. Account created October 7th, 2017. Wow. Yeah. Apparently they don't got a problem with it. He's the one who didn't show. True. He's the one who didn't show, but I am forgiving to my friends and my colleagues, so I'm not gonna hold it against him too much, especially when his power went out. That's an old crotch. Sparkle Crotch Thoughty. Okay. Elder Crotch. Oh, because it's from 2017. Gotcha. Lawyers have to eat too. True. What do you think about the man who helped Penny restrain Neely, essentially getting immunity from the case? Roland brought that up a little bit earlier. Yeah, I mean, I wish that would have been emphasized more, just because the fact that he's black. And so this idea of like it's motivated by race and the BLM saying it's racism, and his dad, who he was estranged from, going up on stage and talking about how now he misses his son. He's so concerned about his son, and it's because of racism. And then you have that one other guy who goes up and basically says, "Well, how about some vigilante against white people?" It's pretty fucked, I would say. And the fact that a black person helped Daniel Penny restrain Jordan Neely, I think would be good to bring up to counter those narratives, right? But in terms of like an actual like court process, I'm a little bit hesitant to read too much into that, just given the fact that it's not uncommon for prosecutors to grant immunity to witnesses, like really regardless of what race they are, right? So, like for example, in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, Gage Grosskreutz was granted immunity for all of his crimes, despite the fact that he did a couple, and he was white. So, I'm just curious what you guys think. So on Monday, for those of you who are watching, at the beginning of the stream, I didn't bring this up because I didn't want Corey yelling at me. But right before the stream, or like right at the beginning, I think it was right before, I stretched my neck like this, like really hard, right? And I was stretching and I was stretching, and then like I pushed it, not with my hands, just stretching like this, just with my neck. And there was this like loud pop all the way down my neck on the left side. And then immediately I got hit with like vertigo and like panic and anxiety out of the blue, like, and nausea, and just like boom. And I felt off. I felt like disassociated throughout the rest of that panel. I was like trying to participate, but it was fucked. And like I feel better now compared to then, but I still feel a little bit off. I looked it up, and like there's all this like the fear monger, people who are like, you got to go to the hospital, you broke something. I don't know about that, but there's some people who are saying, look, that's not uncommon, right? Like you can, uh, when you do that, you can adjust the blood flow, the nerves, and everything, and it throws off the nerves, stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, and causes your brain to think all sorts of shit. And I do wonder, maybe that's responsible for my migraine right now. Maybe did you consult Chat GPT for an actual diagnosis? Okay, I will look that up. By the way, I do not use Chat GPT for my arguments ever. I intentionally don't leave it up during debating. I don't use it in framing my debates beforehand, just because I think it is a little bit cheating, because you guys are here to hear me argue, not a robot. If Chat GPT says something bullshit like, I am not allowed to give you medical advice, I'm going to be pissed. All right. I asked ChatGPT. I'll let you know the response. Crepitus, whatever the fuck it is normal, especially if you're at your desk a lot. I am constantly. All I do is sit during all the time ever. When I'm working, all I do is sit. When I'm not working, all I do is sit. I lead an incredibly sedentary lifestyle. I'm probably going to die very shortly, um, just because of I don't move. And I know that shit's bad for your heart and your arteries and all that shit. You should discuss with your primary care physician and ask about getting diagnostics like an X-ray, CT, and MRI. I do not want to pay for that shit. And I have a high deductible. Chad GPT's not answering me. I think there's probably a legal reason. Here, I'm going to rephrase it to somebody else. Okay, I asked again. I don't think it's going to tell me. Gonarnitis. Basically, the symptoms are, I don't know, pop the left side of my neck pretty loud, hard, hit had some vertigo, disassociation, anxiety, dizziness, stuff like that. And that kind of lasted throughout the panel. I was able to argue, obviously, throughout the panel, and I didn't have any like, I don't know, facial, you know, pair, any Oh shit, I'm messing up my words. That's a bad sign. I didn't have any paralysis of like any side of my face, which is pretty good. So that's good, I guess. And then the next day, I still felt a little bit weird. So that was yesterday. And then today, like that sort of weirdness is mostly gone. Um, but like I've got a headache now. I've got like a migraine, but I also normally get migraines, so I don't know how common or how related that is to this. Right? Didn't sleep super well last night either. So have a massage therapist poke around. Yeah, maybe. I can ask my primary care physician. Let's do that. I can send him a message, right? Or I can send the office a message and get an answer in what 4 to 5 business days. But that's what it is. I feel tension in my neck, but here's the interesting thing: I don't feel tension in my neck on the left side where I popped it. I feel tension on the right side where I didn't pop it. So like even though it fucked me up, it was a hell of a pop. Like it feels like it's to this day feels pretty loose. Feels pretty loosey goosey. Um, the neck itself on the left side feels pretty good. It's just like the right side hurts, and then I also have the feelings of um, anxiety or not anxiety, just vertigo, especially when I look down. So I also could be getting sick. That could also be this. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I can drop it. I appreciate you guys being my doctor for while we wait for 32 minutes for Wick. I don't think he's coming, guys. I don't think he's coming. I think I'm just gonna be chatting with you guys. Oh, the horror. But I mean, this is fun. We do this sometimes, but we don't do it all that much when I'm yelling about whatever fucking topic I'm passionate about. Can't find my doctor app. I found my doctor app. It's not Wick, by the way. Those bastards. You're not allowed to ask a new question without coming in. It's all a fucking check your DM. My Twitch DM? Oh shit. Hold on. Let me take a look. Okay. I'm gonna read this out loud. Well, first, as protocol, I only ever read DMs if I get permission from the person to read them. Um, I know this has literally nothing to do with you. It's literally just what you put in from the AI. But um, uh, Gnarnitis, Gnaritas 99. Can I go ahead and read what you sent me? Okay, I read through it. I mean, to summarize, the AI doesn't think I'm dying, so that's good. The current plan is to. Uh oh, am I frozen? Can. Uh oh. Ooh. No, no, I'm not. Okay. Uh, the AI says I'm probably not going to die. So the plan is I'm gonna see how I feel next couple days, and if it gets worse or doesn't get better, then I'll make an appointment. That's the responsible thing to do, right? Make an appointment with a qualified medical professional uh, who has training or whatever that shit. Like I do a lot. I did not really much anymore, but I did do medical malpractice work, and yeah, doctors can fuck up. Doctors can fuck up, and they do, and they get sued a lot. Is anybody else enjoying Pisco's nonstop meltdowns? True. My man is heated. My man is upset at uh, losing the election entirely. Okay, let's not pretend this is anything but that. But he's taking it all out on my boy Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks, who apparently has said he's open to working with the Trump administration and having his ideas heard. Which, cool, no problem with that. No problem with conversation. Most doctors are just like most lawyers, not the elite. True. True. Right? There are plenty of idiot attorneys and there's plenty of idiot doctors, but it's still cool to have the credentials so you can brag about it on the internet, which is the only reason why you should get any kind of academic achievement. And probably 80% of the reason why you should really do anything at all is just so you can talk about the fact that you did it um, to people. It sounds weird, but I actually rationalize. I rationalize trips sometimes through that reason. Like I rationalize the idea of like, oh, I'm going to go on a trip and spend this money. I don't really feel good about it, but at least I can tell people that I went, right? At least if I'm having a conversation, I can bring up the fact and have that kind of conversation, like a little extra conversational thing for the small talk that inevitably happens among normies. Because believe it or not, you can't just among normies just start talking shit about politics or religion. They get pissed off. It's fucked. This is part of the reason why having real life conversations is so boring and why I don't like to touch grass. It's just, I do every weekend pretty much. But yeah, it sucks. I mean, they just, want to chat about the weather, a lot of the weather. I like sports though. I like talking about sports, so it's pretty easy. Working with the Trump admin, so just rolling over, yes, based. Roll over. You lose. Roll over. Accept it. Accept your loss. Accept the fact that the right wing has won the election and is making a comeback on the culture war. Once AI can make it. Interesting. Bro, have you guys seen the fucking Lions? Holy shit. Like they were the fucking water boy of the whole NFL for how long? Like just the punching bag. Everybody was spitting on them. Never even been to a Super Bowl. And they're like good this year. They might actually go to the Super Bowl. It's crazy. Yeah, they're pretty fucking good. But we don't talk about too much about football. I know some people are cool with it. Some people like it, but some people, especially the kind of people who go on politics streams, some of you hate it and do not want to talk about football and don't want to hear about football. And so, we're not going to spend too much time on that. But yeah, I'm sort of hoping the Lions do good. I mean, they deserve it. It's been the entire fucking time, and they haven't gotten shit. Like, so sad. Like, yeah, so sad. If Pisco is melting down, is Destiny melting down? Yes. The night of the election, I bragged in his server and got banned permanently. So I would say they are struggling. I would say they are. I would say the DGG is struggling a lot with the outcome of this election. And I mean, Pisco is a DGG orbiter, so when he's coping a lot about it, but that's what you would expect, right? So just sort of with that group of people, they're upset. Obviously, they're upset, right? I mean, their candidate lost, and they have a candidate who won that they really dislike, and they think that he is, the second coming of Satan himself. I don't know, second. I mean, I guess Satan came with the snake, right? Like when he was the serpent in the garden. Has he been on Earth since then, biblically speaking? I don't know. So, assuming that that is the only time, like I'm not a theologist. I don't know this shit. The whatever coming of Satan that they think Trump is, yeah, they're probably pretty upset about that. That yeah, it sucks for them, of course. Sucks for them, but they just gotta get over it. And there is a grief process once they get over the anger part. Then the sadness and what is it, bargaining? What is it? It's like something anger, bargaining, sadness, acceptance. So they're currently at the anger part, and then they'll move on. Denial. That's what it is. Denial. Yeah. So the day of the election, they were in denial. Holy shit! Like she could still win. What the fuck? And now they're in the anger, right? And then there's the bargaining. That's we're sort of there, right? That's what Cenk is probably doing. Like, let's take what we can get. Come on, guys. And there's some people who are still in the anger phase, so they haven't quite moved on from that. So they are calling them grifters. And then there's the sadness part. That's going to be coming at some point pretty soon, probably in the next few months, after he gets put into power. And then there's going to be the acceptance, right? I think probably halfway through his presidency, when they start to focus on the next election. I think that's when they'll hit acceptance and they won't care so much anymore. Dolphins fan here, fully sympathize with Lions Nation. True. The Dolphins fans haven't been getting too much love either. Or yeah. You guys had Marino, like one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and I'm pretty sure your team sucked so bad that they still couldn't get a Super Bowl. Like it was that bad. If I'm not mistaken. I'm not super educated on football history, but yeah, no, I'm sorry, dude. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I kind of like the Dolphins color scheme too, so I'd like to see them do well. No, I'm going with 4 years saying cheated to win. They're going to say that offhandedly, but they're not really going to like be all. They're not going to like actively care. I think 2 years into Trump's presidency, they're like it's just not going to be a big deal anymore for them, unless like 2 years in need like or announces some plan to deport everybody, then they're going to care. Then I'm going to care. Um, yeah, I don't think that would be a good idea, but room for disagreement there. Well, spent 200,000 on private jet travel a month. I think it's hilarious how like they kept trying to sell us JD Vance is weird. They were all like JD Vance, he's so weird. But like Tim Walz is the weird one. He was the weird one the whole time. People were saying that JD Vance was weird. He wasn't all that weird. Wasn't all that weird. He did the debate, came across pretty damn normal. And then you had Walz. He didn't come across terrible. He didn't come across terrible, but he came across a little weird. And then his wife came up on stage, right? And she came across really weird. Bye bye, Donald Trump. That was so bizarre. Bye bye, Donald Trump. Really emphasizing the P. Yeah, no, she was weird, and she had the fucking eyes too. Do you remember that? Remember when she was up there with like the fucking eyes, like, and the weird smile, the weird fucking smile. Bye bye, Donald Trump. It was horrific, and I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, oh my god, Tim Walz is married to her, and they have kids, and then apparently, and people have been on Twitter claiming these are TikToks of his kids. that are on TikTok talking about. I don't actually go on TikTok, but people will sometimes move the videos from TikTok onto Twitter, talking about how what is it like anybody who watches Joe Rogan, just avoid them. Like liking Joe Rogan is a red flag. They are so pissed about that Joe Rogan endorsement. They are still seething about, and it's their fault. She didn't go on Joe Rogan. God, can you imagine if she went on Joe Rogan and just like was a person for like 2 hours? Just, just was a person. Now, some people have, I think, very accurately said that unlike the Republicans, who frankly give a lot of deference to Trump, Kamala Harris just simply doesn't have that same level of unity, um, um, or I guess coherent. I want to say coherence. She doesn't have the same level of coherence, honestly. But I'm talking about like party coherence. Like, she says one anti-trans thing, there goes like a major part of her electorate, and so she's got to be really careful. You can't say the wrong thing about about trans stuff. Otherwise, you might lose the election. So I think there's a lot more to lose if you're Kamala Harris going on a podcast like that, especially because Joe Rogan's gonna like he held Trump's feet to the fire a little bit, and I think Rogan would hold Kamala's feet to the fire a little bit, and I think that she'd be upset about that. So she's a puppet, not a person. She can't do a 2 hour interview. Probably true. I mean, there's got to be some person. She's definitely super fake politically, and she goes up on she goes up and everything's scripted and everything's like run by a PR team. I get it, but I'm saying that like when she gets home, when she's had a couple beers, okay, maybe a whole bottle of wine. Okay, look, I'm not judging. You can drink what you want. I'm fine with it. So she drinks a whole bottle of wine. There's got to be some surely she drops like the N bomb a few times and says some funny jokes. Surely. I just got a message. Let me see if Whick is coming. I'm going to be stretching my neck quite a bit, so sorry. Just feels weird. That's all. All right, here is the update I got. Yo, is Whick coming? I can drag us in to the correct room. Could be a while. Shit. All right. But like it. God damn it. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna keep responding to chats until I hear otherwise. Let me see here. First, first productive family getting deported will be plastered everywhere for a sob story. We have a panel. Yeah, yeah. Look, I don't want to deport the productive people, productive illegal immigrants. Um, sorry. The criminals, yes, absolutely. And the people who don't work, I do wonder. Like for those of you who are like super pro, and I know there's a few people who are like more MAGA, I guess, in my chat than I am. For those of you who are, I guess, more MAGA, let's say the criminals get deported, right? And then the non-criminals don't get deported, but then you cut all welfare, like just remove it. Like one of the requirements to apply for any federal, state, or local assistance of any kind is a U.S. citizenship or like legal like green card or whatever. If that was a change, like for those of you who are more pro MAGA, would that sit okay with you? Like, would that be enough, or are you just like, no, they got to go, all of them. We got to just deport them. I don't know what are you guys' thoughts on that? Seriously, because I'd be okay with that personally. I'd be okay with just letting all the non-criminals stay and just making sure that no public assistance or welfare or anything. I mean, I want to get rid of those generally speaking, but at the very least, make illegal immigrants ineligible for them. There's too many political reasons cities will give benefits. Just make it a federal law. You cannot, supremacy clause, right? The feds, that's what they love. They're like, oh, the feds, make it federal. Sure, make it federal. Ineligible. Just do that. All right, give me a second.
Hey, just real quick. So Whick is powerless right now. You guys are good to go ahead and fire up streams and like start the conversation if you want. He basically called to tell me like, do what you got to do. He'll be here when he can. So if you guys want dragged into the actual room and to kind of start things off, then we can do that.
Who's going to moderate you?
That was going to be my question.
Absolutely not. I can probably. I mean, I might be able to ask somebody, but I'm not the guy.
I feel like we're all moderating pretty well at the moment, aren't we?
No, we are.
Let me ask.
Hey, shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! No, sorry.
Good joke. Blacktoy, what's up?
I'm going to ask Gibbs if he can moderate. Give me a second.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He's pretty good. I do his Thursday panels. He's pretty solid at it, actually.
Yeah. No, but do you guys want to still do the show? And because Whick might not show up, so
I'm happy to keep engaging regardless. Like I'm really enjoying. Like I'm learning a lot with you guys. So.
Often topical. What'd you say?
I'm good. Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay, real quick, since we're like not doing this yet, Whick asked me to do this and be on the side that I actually disagree with for a challenge. So I want to just say I think Daniel Penn he's a fucking hero, and he deserves,
yeah, I figured as much.
But I am arguing the other side because I want fun.
I kind of figured as much. Not gonna lie.
He is, but I do believe.
But you did make every single point in chat that I was going to make, so pretty fucking good. Good job.
You got me convinced.
That's the best Whick can do to get me a challenge, is have me argue devil's advocate.
Well, Tyler, I'd love to hear why he's a hero.
Because even though it wasn't at the point of battery at that point, that dude was still violently aggressing at people. To me, a threat is enough to constitute, if you threaten a police officer, you're going to jail. You threaten a citizen, somebody should step up and stop. Now, as terms of holding him too long, maybe it was kind of a fuck around, find out moment. The lesser charge, he maybe should have got that, but I feel like the jury live in New York.
Ignore the charges, though. Ignore the charges. He's a hero, right? Like, because he saved others from possible harm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very.
So if someone else stopped Daniel Penny from killing him, which was saving him from harm, is that person a hero?
Yeah, if somebody would have stepped in and said, "Hey, he's not moving. Get the fuck off of him." Pulled him.
No. Before the stopped moving, he's stopping someone else because there was no harm from that guy yet, right? Like he was screaming and threatening, but hadn't harmed anyone. Daniel Penny's a hero because he killed him.
No, so I don't think the intent's there at that point because you didn't know that Penny wasn't trying to harm the dude. So until harm actually occurred to him,
but as soon as Penny got intervened physically, then that could have given somebody that hadn't known the situation prior to just saw this dude like kind of being like weird or schizophrenic or whatever, and then you just see Penny just come up and just like wrap his arms around him. And that would.
This is so scuffed, guys.
What the fuck are you doing? Get off of him. And then we could have had a four-way scuffle.
Absolutely. And then he could have been spiraling vigilantism. The road to hell is paved with bad guys.
So Tyler,
just come up and fucking
Daniel Penny's a hero, Tyler, right?
So anybody want to start the stream?
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No, Ryzen, I'm giving people the opportunity
hear where you're going
to start their streams.
I don't want to get everything out before we.
Yeah, before anybody hits go live, if they want to do the actual debate.
I just want to hear where you're going, like with your conclusion.
No, my point is just like he is a hero because he saved others from harm. But he harmed a person who hadn't actually harmed someone. So if someone else like shot him, for example, shot Daniel Penny because he was choking someone, is that person a hero for shooting Daniel Penny because he was actually causing harm versus the person Daniel Penny was harming who hadn't actually caused harm but was threatening possible harm?
I got two answers for that. First, I'm going to start off with the mind of the person that's actually doing it. Depending on what they know, if they just walk in and see a guy choking somebody else, absolutely in their mind, they're the hero for splitting that up and helping the person that's being choked. But from a more objective level, I would say no. Once that dude threatened harm, threatening, insinuating is enough for you to invalidate your own safety, similar to how we do the law. As soon as you violate someone else's rights, the state now violates yours.
Like I completely agree, and I'm not disagreeing. This is all like it's more philosophical, so I'm not like attacking you or anything. But so when a woman walks down the street at 6 o'clock at night when it's dark, okay, in a park road, and she's attacked, she is putting herself into harm's way. The same as someone riding the subway. So at what point is okay for it to happen and harm to happen to the person without repercussions and be called a hero versus when it's not okay to have repercussions and not be called a hero? Responses to what's happened.
The initiator of violence in a way that is not defending a person or somebody else. The initiator of even if it's a threat or a move to violence, even if that violence isn't fully committed, battery or threatening is still illegal.
So Tyler,
real quick, before we go forward, I think what we're just going to do is, look, I'm a mod here, so I'm just going to moderate this fucking debate. That's what's going to happen, okay? I was going to be on Daniel Penny's side, but now that Tyler is stepping up and saying his actual position, apparently, I think that the actual sides are a little bit more fucking even. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move us down into the pit.
Right, let me stop recording then.
And then I'm gonna give everybody opening statements. And
So are we good with having Ryzen come in with us because he wasn't originally on the panel?
Hold on. We're missing one, and you seem to be interested and making good points. So would you like to?
I'm just making sure that this is chilling. That's all.
You on the panel, doesn't that put us 2-2 right now?
It'd be so Tyler.
I mean, Whick had it 2 against 3 originally.
Tyler,
so it's
I guess I will. Yeah.
Tyler and
I'm turncoat. Just put me on either team. I'm gonna win either way.
Well, I'm gonna be like splitting the difference most of the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
All right, you guys ready? I'm gonna move you down and get set up and everything. And
all right, cool. Have fun, guys.
See you.
All right, you have to reactivate your cameras.
Okay,
Everybody.
wait.
I gotta tell
there it
my
goes.
10 fans to
Weirdos.
go to your stream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tell all your
All
fans
right.
if you're not streaming. Tell all your many viewers to come to my stream. I've been streaming this whole time. So,
Mom, I'm in a different chat.
It's my brother, my sister, my fiance, and a few friends.
nice.
Oh no, your camera. You might have to disconnect and reconnect.
Yeah.
I just haven't
I
turned
can't
it on.
remember your name. Ryzen. There it goes.
Sorry.
Oh no, it came through. It came through. You're loaded. You're
sorry.
loaded. Sometimes when you move people from one channel to the next, it doesn't capture the camera for some reason.
Look, I'm from Australia. Things are a bit low here. We're a bit backwards. We work hard, but we're a few years behind the rest of you. So, apparently women can vote in your country.
All right, and then Brandon, do you have a camera? Brandon, just out of curiosity.
I do, but it just keeps freezing. So
okay, all right. I'm not going to be as hard as Whick is about that one. All right, so everybody all good? You have all your shit up? Everybody's ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I have taken control. I am the moderator now for this panel. Wick's power went out. If he comes back, then he can have moderation back. But until then, I have the power, and I'm going to enforce it with a iron fist. This is a debate on Daniel Penny. Was he justified? What are the circumstances leading up to Neely's death? And what do you guys think about the verdict? And if you were a juror, would you have decided differently? There was essentially a hung jury on the top charge of second-degree reckless manslaughter, and he was acquitted of criminal negligent homicide. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to Tyler, you go ahead and give your. I'm just going to go right down the line on how the order is on my screen. So Tyler, go ahead and give your opening statement, and then we'll move on to Cypher afterwards and just go from there.
To my tens and tens of fans, I just want to apologize for the completely unprofessional display that Whick laid out for us here. It was absolutely disgusting, and I'm appalled. I'm appalled. Thank you, Lactoid, for stepping up. Secondly, Daniel Penny is a hero. I talked a bunch of shit on Twitter to people, so if anyone actually showed up to hear me argue on the other side, we had a misbalance and I switched teams. Daniel Penny is a hero. He deserves to be acquitted, and anyone that said otherwise is pro-crime.
All right. Cypher, go ahead.
Daniel Penny is neither hero nor villain. He is a victim of circumstance, which is the United States government and our inability to police people and have a way for the mentally ill to get the proper care that they need. So when it comes to Neely had been involved in numerous ins and outs with the police department. He had suffered from mental illness. There was not treatment available to him because we live in a capitalistic hellscape where people that do not have money cannot get the attention that they need when it comes to healthcare, especially mental health care. The United States is farly lacking in this. In a more just society, both men would not have had to deal with each other that day because Neely would have gotten the care that he required in order to be a productive member of society. With that said, I do not believe that Daniel Penny should have not been charged at all. There's some people that were on this panel at one point who had said previously that the charge itself was unjustified. I do not believe that. I believe every single time that someone does an action that results in another person's death, at the very least, they should have to go in front of a grand jury to have the evidence weighed by their peers in order to have a full understanding of the facts at hand. Leaving it up to DAs and police officers oftentimes results in people that are not charged when they should be, and vice versa. So, with that said, I think that with the facts of the case as they are, Penny should probably have been found guilty of negligent homicide, but could have easily been had his sentence commuted or something like that, because we do not want to encourage vigilante justice at all. However, that said, I'm not mad that the jury ruled a different way. I trust the process, and the jury did their duties as citizens in our great country. So with that, okay. I yield the rest of my opening.
All right. Brandon, go ahead. Give your opening.
Okay, so I think that Daniel Penny is not necessarily a hero, but I also wouldn't consider him a vigilante. I think that the people on the subway seemed generally happy that Penny stepped in and took care of the threat, basically. You could argue that that Neely had assaulted people. Apparently, he threw trash at people. I know that's a very weak argument for assault, but technically that did happen. He lunged at people. People who had been on the trains for years were scared for their lives more than they ever were. I think that there is possibly, like, you could say that criminally negligent homicide should have been charged. I think most people can understand, though, not wanting him. What is it called? Sorry, or not indicted, but fully charged. And yeah, I think that he did what the people around him thought he needed to do, and it just sucks that we have so much crime going around. And I don't think he wanted Neely to die.
Okay. Often topical. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I am definitely pretty anti, I guess, vigilantism in general. I view this as an act of that as well. I think that it is not a citizen's job to take the law into their own hands. There are proper ways that you can subdue someone, and ways that you should not. I think that this would fall under that case of something that should not have happened. As far as the charges, I do believe that charges should have been brought. I'm glad that they were. I'm disappointed in the ruling, but as far as manslaughter in the second degree, I could see a case for why he would not be guilty for that. But when it comes to criminally negligent homicide, just based on how the statute is written, I don't see how the jury came to the conclusion that they did. And that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. And we have a last minute edition here, risen again. Go ahead and do you have an opening? If you don't, that's fine. But if you just want to talk a little bit about your opinion and kind of see where you're at.
Get it. Well, my view is that there are three positions on this whole situation. There's the legal, there's the desired, and then there's the actual outcomes. And so the legal one, where we talk about what may or may not have been the cause for the death and things like that. There's the desired outcome, where there is anyone that's ever like on the tram or train or tube or whatever, and they've dealt with something where like, holy crap, this is uncomfortable, this is dangerous, I don't feel safe, and thank God someone's taken care of it. And then there's the actual outcome, where it is I don't like this, so this person deserves to die. And so much of this is ignored with the discussion in general and the outcomes from the courts, which are never fully understood or justified, especially when media is attached. So my position is that the outcome's not fair and the views aren't fair in general, and that people don't have a full understanding of the situation. But I'm happy to get into it later. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. So here's what we'll do. Just as an initial question to kind of get the conversation going here, I listened to all the opening statements, and as I understand it, there's a question of whether or not Daniel Penny was justified in getting involved in the first place. And there's also the question of, did he get involved in the correct way, or did he overdo it? So I want to address that first question. Is there anybody here that believes that Daniel Penny went too far in even getting involved physically? Was this a circumstance in which he should have put Jordan Neely in a chokehold?
It's, to be fair, most of us would feel that, like any masculine man feels, that they will step up and do the right thing in situations like that, where there's someone threatening me, others, family members on a public transport system. But at the same time, you never deserve, and there is no right to put your hands on another person unless they've physically started attacking you in some form. They can threaten you, but until something's happened, you don't deserve to touch them, because we've all dealt with the insane people, and they're just insane, and they don't do anything more than that. It's uncomfortable, it's a bit scary, but they don't do more than that, other than instill fear, and instilling fear isn't enough violence.
Yeah. So, Tyler, for example, you called him a hero. I mean, how would you respond to that question? that, or I guess that answer of, it's true. Jordan Neely didn't, put his hands on anybody before the chokehold happened. I mean, why was Daniel Penny justified in grabbing him the way that he did?
Looking at legality, if you threaten somebody, you threaten a spouse, you threaten a friend with harm or death, that's enough for police to arrest you. The intent, voicing the intent to bring harm to somebody is enough for... I'm against vigilante justice. I didn't have a prepped intro because I switched my sides here, but I am also against vigilante justice generally. But the exemption for that is self-defense. And if somebody is being threatened with harm, that's enough in almost any circumstance, in any criminal case, to justify them showing the intent to commit harm and for some sort of entity to step in. At that point, once he said those words, he voiced to everybody what he was willing to do and wanting to do.
Said what words?
Oh, I don't have the exact words.
It doesn't need to be. You don't need to be
I
specific.
can read a bunch if you want.
I'm willing.
Yeah, I just give me one example.
Oh, fuck me. I have to look.
Hey, I'm willing to die.
Even having said that,
Hold on a
like,
second.
sorry.
So that's me.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Hey, I'm willing to die. I'll do anything. I'm willing to die. I'll go to jail. I don't care. I don't care.
So saying that stuff is threatening other people while he's just standing there and just mouthing around?
Somebody, or when you're like lunging at people.
When was he lunging at people?
That's what one of the witnesses said, that he did.
Right, but when did that happen?
I don't think it's up for
even
dispute.
before the chokehold.
Even the people that don't in the train car that were telling Penny to stop, I don't think anyone was disputing he was being threatening to people. Physically.
No, but I want to know when for you, Tyler, when does these mouthing of words become a threat?
I think what
legally
Cypher
that justifies somebody getting physically intervening in somebody being erratic.
Yeah, Cypher's looking for a timeline here, right? And so, like, when is what the threats compared to the action? Did they happen simultaneously? Did they happen one after the other? Because how closely they're related surely matters, right?
Yes, because if you're saying if he was just being erratic, and then Penny was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna choke this guy out because he's being weird," that's different than him like, oh, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," being right in somebody's face and then moving back, and then Penny does the chokehold because then you don't know when that's gonna happen, right? So that the timeline matters. I don't know. I have a firm timeline of it, but that's not just a timeline. It's like what to you is justifying somebody else to get physically involved with somebody. If it's just saying, "Oh, I don't care, I'll go to jail," and you're just kind of like he's just kind of standing there, that's not enough for me. Because that's why I didn't raise my hand, because there are instances where it could be justified for somebody to get involved. But you probably still shouldn't because of situations that happen like this where you can accidentally kill somebody.
So I'm going to give Brandon an opportunity to respond, and then we're going to go to Risen again, and then Tyler. So Brandon, go ahead if you have a response as to the questions of kind of the temporal aspect of this, the timeline.
Yeah. So as far as I'm aware, Neely walks onto the train and walks in. He's really mad. He throws down his coat and he said he had a rough day. He doesn't care what happens. He doesn't care about going to jail. Somebody is dying today. I'm ready to hurt somebody. And then that's when he started getting more erratic. He started, half lunging at people, getting within half a foot of people. And as far as I'm aware, that's Penny stepped in and took control of the situation.
So at what point does it justify for you to intervene? Just saying, I don't care, I've had a rough day, I will kill somebody, then it becomes justified? Or does it become justified because of the other actions and then it leads up to it? That's all I think.
I think it comes down to when he started like lunging at people, like people were generally threatened or felt threatened for their life. I think that's when it...
So when he got in somebody's face, was being erratic, that sort of stuff. Okay.
Yes.
That's fair.
Okay, so Risen, go ahead and kind of give your thoughts on this, and then we'll move on to Tyler.
Yeah. Sorry, I think my point is that at the end of the day, like, I can understand both Brandon and Tyler's positions on this, but it's not a legal concept. Like, yes, police can be called in when there are threats, and they can charge people for verbal threats and things like that. But that's not judge, jury, executioner. Like, they still have to go through a legal process before something can happen. But that doesn't mean that someone can threaten you and you can then take their life from them. Like, it's it's so virtue signaling from me, and I apologize if it seems that way. But my point is that like you can't just be scared of someone and kill them for it. Like it's the same. Most of Americans can open carry in most states, I think, or open carry, I
In
think,
many
in
states.
like 42 states. Yeah, and so if someone's like threatening you or seems to threaten you, that's not enough to turn around and shoot them. You will go to jail. That's murder. Like it is not fair, even if they're like, "I'm going to bash you," unless they do enough to make you feel that you have no other option to save your life. You can't take the steps forward to kill someone because it's just murder. Otherwise, like even an open carry. So, legal or not, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about like what can be charged or processed. We're talking about actually what happened based on the moments around it. And also, often topical. I'm sorry, I keep talking over you. But thank you.
No, so
I
you're
haven't
fine.
really spoken much.
Yeah, we're going to go to Tyler and then often topical. I saw your hand up. I think that what was just said is actually kind of a good question for you, Tyler. The question here is how afraid do you have to be before you can justify violence, right? I mean, people get afraid of other people for all sorts of reasons. Maybe Neely was being loud, maybe he was being aggressive, but he didn't touch anybody, right? He didn't put his hands on anybody. When when do you get when are you able to attack somebody because you're afraid of them? What justifies that?
So, in order to answer that question the best way I can, I kind of want to address Risen's legal argument as well. So, the reason we rise these specific actions to a legality level is because we take them seriously enough to put them in the process of being a law, a rule that somebody can't, it has a clear definition that we can take somebody to court for, et cetera, et cetera. But that just shows you how serious that action is. So, threatening somebody being something that you can be arrested for, put into a cage for, is meriting on its own that it's serious enough to intervene if that thing happens. So that being said, also, we have gradations. You brought up shooting. So there's a lot of different steps you can take before you can turn around. Just because they threaten doesn't mean you can turn around and shoot somebody. So if his intent was to kill, then you'd be right in this situation, but it was not. His intent was just to stop the conflict from going on. So like you'd have to like reasonably try to flee the situation if you wanted to shoot somebody in most states. So I would say like the point for me would be if somebody came up to me with a closed fist and looked like they were going to hit me, even if they faked out, just that initial cock back would be enough to where I'd already be swinging at them. They wouldn't have the time to fake me out because I'm such a badass judo master that I would break both of their arms. So, but that's just, me as a personal super Chad. Generally, though, that would be the time. As soon as somebody cocks their fist back, even if it's a joke, you don't know that motherfucker, you don't know what they're about to do, they just open themselves up to violence. That's enough for me. That's battery, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
Well, it can be assault, right? So if you intimidate somebody, that can be assault. Battery is when you put your hands on them. So it's probably
Sorry,
not.
yep.
Yep. No, it's all good. I want to hear from Often Topical, and then I have a question for Risen again.
Yeah. So my question is, I guess we're kind of. I want to get down to the heart of this. We're saying that Daniel Penny is a hero. He did the right thing here. My question is, what is a justified amount of force on somebody who is shouting? And on that kind of where are your personal lines here where you think maybe like, oh, Daniel Penny might have gone too far? Obviously it sounds like we're in agreement that like if Daniel Penny would have turned around and shot Jordan Neely in the face, probably would have been unjustified, and he should have been charged for that. But you don't think that him choking him was something that he should have been charged for. So I'm curious just where your line is for what a justified response to someone shouting at people is.
Can I?
Well, I think that was a question really to the people here on the panel who are
Either
against
person
Daniel Penny.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Cypher or Risen, you go ahead. And it looks
No,
like
that's for the
I
people
might be
who are-
losing
who
my
are
moderation
lionizing.
status in a second, but
No, you're getting kicked out.
uh-oh.
You've nailed it, Lactoid. You've been perfect, so thank you.
To that point, often Topical is asking Tyler and
Yeah, I'm asking Tyler and Brandon.
I wasn't 100% sure who you were asking.
Oh, okay.
You want to take that
yeah,
one since I filibustered? It's up to you, Brandon. Save the day.
Sure. I think you say when he's just like saying stuff, but I mean, I think the lunging would count as also battery, right? Like, or not battery. Sorry.
it's all assault.
Yeah,
Even the yelling can be potentially assault.
Yeah. So, do I think Penny should have killed him? No. Do I think that was his intent? No. Do I think that restraining someone is like okay if they're threatening people? Yeah, I think so. And so, yeah, I'm not supporting him killing the guy, but that was an unintended consequence of having to restrain someone in such a kind of dangerous situation.
Well, I think my point is there's a difference, I think, and I would make a distinction between restraining someone. There are different ways that you can restrain someone that have different kind of consequences. Like if Penny had wrestled him down to the ground and gotten on top of him, would be one thing. But I mean, I think would we all agree that if Penny had gotten on top of Neely and then just put his hands around his throat and choked him until he passed out, and then he would have died from that, would we say that? I mean, he was stopping a threat, and that is okay.
Could you repeat that?
No, I'm just trying to figure out.
No, I just didn't hear those.
Naked. Sorry.
Yeah, so because we're talking about a chokehold from behind, it looks a lot different. It looks a lot less violent than if Penny had been on top of Neely and choking him physically with his hands. Do we think that are those equal levels of force? Are those equal justified levels of force
to more extremely
restrain?
Put it out. Like if he just knocked him out with one punch and then stood over the top of him and kept punching, would we still be like that was just offense for the passengers, or would we all agree that this is over the top violence and not proportional to what was happening? Like, sorry, often topic. Like I keep talking over you. I'm so sorry.
There is some ambiguity to it. So the fact that he didn't actually get violent and with anybody.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I really am. I'm about to go live and give my. Do you guys mind if I interrupt my spiel? Is that okay?
Welcome back, Whick.
I got my point.
I know I'm embarrassed, but there was nothing I could do.
Completely unprofessional.
It's not your fault.
You should have. Lactoid was talking all sorts of shit about you, Whick. Lactoid was saying you were horrible, and no, yeah.
I saw this as an opportunity to seize power of the flock, but now I've
the production quality is shit.
Okay.
Shit.
Lactoid was incredible.
Hit that start button, and we're gonna go live now. Just give me like 30 more seconds. So keep talking, but then we'll do it.
You want to ask your question again, and then I'll answer it.
So I guess he's saying like
no. When he goes live, I mean, when he goes live.
We'll wait for him to go live. But is Whick quiet for anybody else, or is it just me?
Can you guys not hear me?
A bit quiet.
He's
fine for me.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you just needed to move closer to the mic. That's all.
Yeah.
Whick looks good. I haven't seen him for a bit, but something's different.
Yeah.
Handsome young man.
Something's.
Oh, full teeth. Holy, fucking congrats. Sorry.
Thank you. It's fine. Okay.
Sorry.
Welcome, one and all, to a late episode of Whick TV. We've already gotten into it. My power went out, for those who are wondering why we're late, and it just got up about 5 minutes ago. I rushed to get things started, to get things set up. They have been vigorously debating the topic tonight, and I appreciate them for it, so that if you wanted this content, if you want to see the beginning of this content, you can find it on Lactoid's channel, Lactoid TV, right? Check him out. He's a great guy. Thank you for moderating in my absence. But now that we're here, let's get started. Today we're talking about the recent acquittal, the not guilty verdict in Penny's trial. He was found to be not guilty for the death of Neely, a man who he put in a chokehold on a subway, and a lot of people have a lot of big opinions. And with that, we're just going to get back into it. They've been going at it, and we're just going to get in there as we go. So here we are. Take it away, gang. Go ahead.
Who's
We've been
Daniel
super
Penny?
cordial, but now we can misbehave, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I think there's a question that was going to be asked. I think Risen, you were going to ask a question.
Yeah, Ryzen, but yeah, sorry.
Ryzen. I didn't know if it was either or, but it says again, so I figured. But
Sorry, I'm Ryzen again. Sorry. Please, what was? Were you going to ask me a question, or I had a question?
Ask your question. Yes, go ahead.
No, you were asking a question.
Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, we keep going back to this whole like what's legally sound and what's legally unjust, and it doesn't matter if you're in like. Imagine like school teachers or nurses or doctors and things like that. It doesn't matter how insane your patient is. All you can legally do is protect yourself and to the point where the only way you can escape harm is through harming that person. That's when it's legally okay. There is no other legally sound position of harming others. So this whole legal situation where you've stepped in, choked someone out and killed them, there is no legal position and it's not self-defense. If you've stepped in to address someone, all you can do is actively do everything you can to protect yourself and others from harm. The moment you step forward to harm someone when you have escape, that's deliberate intent. So I don't think we should talk about the legality of it. We should talk about the morality or ethical situations of it.
The legality has been decided by the courts, no? Right? Legality
we were talking before you got on, Whick. Tyler was talking about legality for a degree, so that's why he's addressing it. Just FYI.
Fair enough. But like again, the courts have found him not guilty. So whether we think it's moral or not, the legality has been settled, right? Have we talked?
Did they find them not guilty, or it was thrown out?
It was not guilty.
Sorry.
It was found not guilty. Well, sort of. The manslaughter charge was thrown out. Have we talked about that yet? Aspect of it.
That's my. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. But so for those of you who don't know, during the trial, one of the things that happened was pretty unprecedented. At least I can't find precedent for it. And if any of you have precedent, please bring it to my attention. But it was looking to be a hung jury. The jury didn't seem to be able to decide on whether or not he was going to be guilty of manslaughter. So the judge did something unique.
Unprecedented.
He threw out or dismissed, I'm not sure the legal term here, the charge of manslaughter, so that there was only one charge remaining. Dismissed, was that? Okay.
Yes.
What do we think of this? Was this a move to try to politicize this? Was this a move for the judge to try to step in and get a guilty verdict? What do we think? I'm just really curious.
I think it wasn't either. Like, I think it was already so politicized in that there is so much like hero worship versus like bad guy worship that it was already such a difficult situation that the judge had to do something. And with the hung jury, the judge had to say, like, okay, forget this, move forward. Because if they decided it one way or the other, they're going to be like, they'll be called political one way or the other. So they had to do something. The problem was that the jury had access to media, which was already politicized, and that's what caused the problem, I think. Sorry.
It was politicized well before it went to court in the first place. Right-wing media influencers such as Tim Pool and Charlie Kirk were already saying he's a hero
Whick
and
TV.
trying to raise money for him for his legal fees. There's been there was pro bono right-wing lawyers taking over, stuff like that. But I know. But Lactoid, are you moderating now, or are you back in the fray?
I'm not moderating anymore. Wick's taking over, so I'm going to give my take because I'm free to do that now. As to the question of why was the top charge,
and I do have someone that is going to come in a second. So
Okay.
Please continue.
Yeah.
You want me to go?
Well, okay, just
Oh, you're fine.
let's bring Wick up to speed. So Tyler is actually arguing his real position. He's no longer on the side of anti-Penny. So whoever this guy is might throw things off. And Lactoid is taking his typical position. Everybody else is on the same
I can
side.
only argue my position. So I'm not like Tyler. I can't debate all the different positions that he can. But to just speak on this a little bit, in terms of the dismissal of the top charge, I haven't been able to find precedent on it either. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That just means that I haven't been able to find it. And it is a little bit odd to me that it's like, well, we got a hung jury, and the judge allowed it to be dismissed with prejudice, the top charge, when the defense objected. The defense said, no, we don't want you to dismiss this. We're in the middle of the trial. Don't dismiss it, because, essentially they wanted a hung jury, right? And it sets a horrible precedent if you're allowed to just, drop every charge that becomes hung, because what it does, it'll encourage prosecutors or the DA to overcharge every single case, right? Because, hey, if you run into a hung jury, you can just drop the ones that aren't hitting until you get to one that does. And there is something a little bit sleazy about that. But regardless, they let it happen in this case. And surprise to me, despite being hung on like the more severe charge, when you got to the lesser included charge, they acquitted him. I don't know if that's because maybe one of the jurors just kind of got tired over the weekend and didn't want to do it again. Who knows? Who knows what the actual reason is? So we'll have to yet to see that. In terms of the legality of Daniel Penny's actions, defense of yourself is a justified reason to enact force, but so is defense of others, right? That is included within the statutes of defense of yourself. So if I'm attacked by somebody who's trying to steal my wallet, I can deck him in the face, right? Assuming that the force is reasonable in response to them attacking me. If I look over and a little old lady's having her purse snatched, I can run over and do the same thing, right? And if she's under attack, like if she's being physically harmed, I can run over and I can enact force in order to save her too. The standard is actually pretty similar, right? I have to match the force with what I perceive to be the threat is to the other person, just like the same thing to myself. And so I guess to give my position, I think a chokehold is pretty reasonable force given the circumstances. Would I think it'd be too much if he whipped out a shotgun and just blew? Yeah, that'd be a little bit too much, right? If he just blew him up right there, like unprompted, kind of wild. But that's not what he did. That
literally happened.
Yeah, that's not
in a different case.
Maybe, but that's not what happened. Like I don't know about that case, but in this case, he came up behind him when he was, threatening people, making a mother and her child feel so in danger that she pushed the stroller in front of them because she felt like she was going to die. She testified, and he came up behind Neely and put him in a chokehold. And I've seen the full video. We can talk about the video, but I don't know. It seems to me that like legally, I think he had a very strong case, and the jury obviously agreed with that.
Okay. Before we get responses to that, we do have one more guest that I want to allow to introduce himself again. Man, I am sorry. This has been such a shit show on my end. Nothing we could do. Power's been out. We just got back. I'm happy to be here. But Colquhoun? How do you say your name?
Colquhoun.
Colquhoun?
Yeah, Scottish Gaelic.
Got you. What is your thoughts here? Penny's acquittal. Are you for it? You against it? Lactoid here just gave his thoughts. Let's hear yours, and let's continue with the show.
I do believe that Daniel Penny should experience some form of punishment. Of course, Jordan Neely was acting unacceptable, to put it lightly. Did that justify him being killed? Of course not. Did that justify someone taking him down by some means? I believe so. But my issue with this whole case right now is the fact that Daniel Penny used a tactic that has been banned by most police departments nationwide. I believe there is also a federal law prohibiting law enforcement from using a chokehold. There is a position statement from the American Academy of Neurology condemning the use of chokeholds because of the extreme danger they pose to the person being choke held, I guess you would say. because of the fact we have the trachea, we have multiple arteries that go to the brain. If your brain is starved of oxygen for any period of time, your brain starts dying. You start losing millions of neurons a minute. My father, who suffered a mild, no, not a mild, a minor stroke in 2015, was changed forever since then, and I can't imagine, more brain damage is bad.
Fair enough. So, what sort of punishment do you think he should have been convicted of? Do you think that the jury was correct in their verdict?
Um, I don't know what the exact charges of, but he did act with reckless endangerment. I mean,
Fair enough.
he didn't do like some murder one shit. I think manslaughter or something like that. I mean, some
That was the charge that was
negligent.
dropped, yes.
Oh,
Manslaughter.
it's not. And let's also remember Daniel Penny is also a U.S. Marine, correct? I believe sergeant, right?
Daniel Penny was
Yeah,
Marine,
but
yeah.
He has had combat training, and
no, not really. I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I know this is your opening. I'm sorry.
Well, no,
Go ahead.
just at this point, like we got your point. We'll open it up to the
Yeah.
rest of the crowd. So go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so this happened before we started our debate. We were talking about the implications of whether or not Penny had some sort of like super special training. Being a sergeant in the Marine Corps does not, or any U.S. military, you don't get much unless you sign up for it. Hand-to-hand combat training. Even the Marines don't get much hand-to-hand combat training. Everybody gets basic hand-to-hand combat training in their basic. Marines get a little bit more, but they're not necessarily going to have. I forgot what it's called in the Army, but basically the Army's version of martial arts. So unless we have his record that he got that training, then this idea that he had like some super special training and he should know better is not accurate.
I mean, he would have to be given some instruction of if you do this
not really,
especially with a takedown move as dangerous as a chokehold.
They don't. You really don't. That's the thing. It's one day, maybe a week.
Yeah, I think we had like 2 days of training on that.
Can I jump in real quick and address something before this gentleman came in? We were talking about, and Lactoid took two of my points from me. Well said. The third one was, you guys were talking about the tainted jury and whatnot. When a trial like to that degree happens, there's a large pool of jury that both lawyers get to look at them. They have a certain amount of downvotes. But if you're getting somebody that's that tainted by the media to that point, they'll get thrown out of the jury pool without even either side having to use one of their downvotes. They really do look for impartial jurors and go through their background, go through their social media, go through where they consume their news. There's a very good process in place to make sure that jurors are as impartial as they need to be to go to trial. And neither side said anything about the jurors being tainted. Maybe they did after, but during the process, that was who they picked. So you'd have to assume both sides were happy.
I mean, that's kind of conspiratorial if you're assuming that the jurors have been like tainted for some reason.
That was just something that was brought up because of the media. It happened.
I don't think it's not necessarily they were tainted. It's just the fact that before the case went to trial, it was already politicized. So finding somebody that would be not having had their opinions influenced by facts discovered by the media is very difficult. This is why I think the media should err on the side. This is a complaint generally speaking. It's not anything that's going to happen, but should err on the general side of not actually reporting things until a jury is sequestered.
Ryzen, please.
Sorry. So my thing is that I was going to respond to Lactoid, but he might be able to clear this up as well as the resident lawyer. At the end of the day, they can get a unbiased jury, but they weren't sequestered, so they still had access to media and interactions with other people during that entire time. So they might have been unbiased when they were selected, but the jury and trial went on for a long period of time. And as they weren't sequestered and held away from all access to media and things like that, they were given access to all of this misinformation and disinformation that could have changed their view and given them opinions that were not valid based purely on the evidence in the trial. And what I was going to say with Lactoid was the point about like defending yourself, completely true. You can only defend yourself to the point where it is absolutely required and not further. So you can do everything it takes to defend yourself, but not go further than that. And so like things like protect your family, things like that, you can do everything required, push them away, struggle with them, fight them, punch them, knock them out, whatever, and that's it. If you knock them out and keep fighting them, that's assault. After that, like there's defense and then there's assault, and yeah, that's my position. Sorry.
Just to be clear, I mean the actual Daniel Penny trial, like it lasted several weeks, if I'm not mistaken, and so I mean it's impossible. Like this is just like a fact. You can't like hold a jury outside of like like put them in like an isolation tank in between all the days.
If you sequester a jury, like you put them in a hotel and hide them away for weeks or months.
So I guess I haven't heard of this specific. I guess maybe this has happened. I haven't heard of this specific thing happening where there's like a jury, so you put them in a hotel for months. My understanding
is
is
in high-profile cases.
Okay.
Yeah, like the OJ trial, they were. Like,
OJ trial, they were sequestered from.
Okay. Well, see, gap in my knowledge. I didn't know about that specifically.
But I don't know if they would have done that in this case.
Well, during the OJ trial, they didn't have
didn't.
access to like fucking cell
But
phones.
and they didn't in this case.
There's a
which
much
means
different
that
environment. I don't know.
There is. I don't know how you're going to restrict media from the jury.
That's what I mean. All I was saying was that they could have been unbiased when picked as jury members, and then became biased during the trial based on the information they gathered. That's all I was saying. Like,
well, it's possible
they weren't
sequestered. Portion of a part. Isn't that the
kind of the point?
The whole point of a trial is to start unbiased, and then as the trial goes on, you figure it out.
Outside media, I think he's referring to.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
do
look,
we have evidence of that?
We don't have evidence of that, as far as I'm aware.
Absolutely. So, I was just responding to the point that they had to be biased before selection. I was saying they could have been unbiased before jury selection. Like Tyler was pointing out, they spend a lot of time, the lawyers spend a lot of time selecting jury out of the big cohort and look for ones that are not going to be biased. And I was just saying,
just as a check for people here, right? So my audience is aware and I'm aware. Who here thinks justice was served in the Penny trial? Raise your hand. You think they did the right thing, justice was served?
I do as well.
Yeah. Okay,
Nay.
so we have 3 and 4. Okay.
yeah,
then,
I do.
Okay, so and the rest of you think justice was not served, correct?
Yes.
Correct. So 3. Correct. Okay, there we go. Got it. Let's keep going then.
Can I ask on that? Like, at the end of the day, regardless of our view of it, this is the justice system, right? Like, how is justice not served?
But the justice system isn't perfect, and we can recognize that the justice system fails sometimes. So is your so just to clarify,
like with the OJ trial,
right? Do you think that that the justice system worked in this case, or did it fail?
Okay, yeah, I don't think the justice system worked in this case, but I still think that justice was served. If that makes sense. Yeah, sorry, I'm being a semantic asshole.
When you look at the details of that lesser charge, I do honestly think it could be argued either way. I do think that I was a layman, not a legal expert at all. As a layman, I think that you could go either way on that lesser charge. It wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely of the mindset that the greater charge that was brought up, manslaughter in the second degree, definitely I think was a lot higher of a bar to clear. I don't have strong feelings about the judge dismissing or bringing that down to a lesser charge. I don't know enough about like that whole process to have a strong feeling either way. It seems kind of weird to me. I don't love that idea, but once it's happened, at that point, looking at the letter of the law for criminally negligent homicide, I think it fits it to a T.
Give me the argument for that. Why do you think that he should have been convicted for criminally negligent homicide? Walk me through it.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm looking at the statute here for New York, and as far as it says For criminally negligent homicide, a person is guilty of criminally negligent homicide when, with criminal negligence, he causes the death of another person. So when we look into what what criminal negligence is defined as, in what is it, section 15.05, it says that a person acts with criminal negligence with respect to a result or with a circumstance described by a statute, defining an offense when he fails to perceive a substantial and unjustifiable risk that such result will occur or that such circumstance exists. The risk must be of such nature and degree that the failure to perceive it constitutes a gross deviation from the standard of care that a reasonable person would observe in the situation. And so I think, given the fact that, kind of to piggyback off of Calhoun's point a little bit earlier, the fact that we know that chokeholds are dangerous, that chokeholds lead to people dying, that chokeholds are not, very reliable forms of subduing someone or restraining someone. I think that is completely in line with what the law says there. I don't think that we can view chokeholds any differently than if Penny was on top of Neely and choking him with his hands. I don't think any of us, I could be wrong here, but I don't think any of us would view that as something that would be justified force in this case. And I think that I don't really see a difference between that or a chokehold, in that both of those are things that are meant to knock someone out, and they can result in death pretty easily.
Would you be okay with
you're
Penny
someone who doesn't know what you're doing?
Would you be okay with Penny like decking Neely in the face, like knocking him the fuck out, just like punching him, like dynamite punch right in the face?
I would
A
not.
dynamite punch in the face. I think I would be uncomfortable with it. I think that I would be less like if Penny had punched him in the face, Neely fell over, broke his head or broke his neck or something and died. I think that I probably would not be I wouldn't have as strong of a feeling about the criminally negligent homicide in that case. I think that it is closer to justified. I still am not totally comfortable with the idea of someone taking the law into their own hands when someone is just screaming and yelling at people. I don't think that is what should rise to the level of violence, but I could more easily be swayed over.
Okay.
Well, here's also the thing about just decking someone and choking someone out for 5 to 6 minutes. It takes less than a second to knock someone out with your fist. And something like that, honestly, if I was in Daniel Penny's shoes, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't deck out Jordan Neely.
Anyone in here ever knock somebody out with a punch in your life? It is not easy to do.
It is not.
It's luck in some
me.
circumstances.
A lot of it's
It's like in the right. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to hit him in the right wrong spot. Yeah.
I've never done it, and I've punched a few faces before, so I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
If they're drunk or intoxicated or already struggling, it's really easy.
Usually,
But I
there's
do
got to be
wanna-
other things. But
for a healthy person, it is difficult to knock him out.
Yeah, let's just kind of. I think the core that what we want to discuss, or what I want to discuss here at least, is okay. So choking, you often you think that was wrong, and a few other people think it was wrong that he held it for so long. To Lactoid's question, though, you are in Penny's situation. Neely comes up, he starts screaming, he starts saying, "I'm going to, someone's going to die, right? I'm going to kill someone, right?" I don't know exactly his words, right? We can look it up, right? But very threatening to the point where everyone's scared. Okay, what do you do in this situation?
Well, the same if sorry.
One at a time, man. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think you can easily justify tackling him and restraining him in some way. Not by choke holding, but you can certainly restrain his arms, restrain his legs.
That's not so easy with somebody bigger than you. Neely was bigger than Penny.
I mean, Penny has also had military training.
No, I understand.
You keep saying the military training, but it doesn't.
I've had military training. I promise you, I'm gonna like. It's not going to help me, right?
Yeah,
if someone like me can beat a person who's had military training, then our military is in a sad state of affairs. I'm
sure. Sure it is.
No. I'm going to push back against this. The military is focused on training people how to use guns and long-range weaponry. not hand-to-hand combat.
And clean toilets.
We were in our hand-to-hand combat training, we were told if you need to use this training, so many things have already gone wrong.
Yeah.
You're in trouble anyway.
And you're fucked.
That's the thing I was going to respond with earlier.
I think you guys aren't like appreciating, or at least the people on the opposite side of me, except for Cypher seems to appreciate it somewhat, how difficult it is to restrain somebody who doesn't want to be restrained, even if they're smaller than you. This is like when you watch videos of like 8 cops trying to restrain one naked meth head who's like jerking off and punching them at the same time. It's so difficult for them to get this guy down because holy shit, restraining somebody who doesn't want to be restrained is absurdly hard.
But in that
Neely,
situation, you also have the drugs. Like,
well, hold on. Neely was also on drugs. Neely was on Spice, which has like psychotic and cardiovascular effects. Yes, he had smoked synthetic marijuana, which has stimulant effects in a similar way.
We know that for sure.
We do know that for sure. Yes, he was on Spice.
I'll just take your word for it.
He also somewhat related to the cardiovascular issues. He was also sickle cell. He had sickle cell anemia.
Yes.
But so you have this guy who's on basically a psychotic drug. Spice is crazy, by the way, and he's bigger than Penny. And he does not want to be restrained. I've watched the full video again before this panel, and I mean he is fighting the whole time, basically up until the end. He is fighting with Penny,
until about the last minute.
Yeah, until about the last minute, he is struggling and fighting with Penny. And so my thought process is like, imagine you're Penny. Imagine like this is a bigger guy, and you finally like got him in a position where he can't hurt you. Like the number one thing I'd be terrified of, if I let this guy go, he's gonna kill me. If I let this guy, especially now that I've had him in a chokehold, right? If I let this guy go, what is he going to do? He's bigger than me. He's been fighting with me for 5 minutes, 4 minutes. And like, I've got him here and there's people helping me, but he's still fighting. If I let go, could he get up and hurt me? Of course he could. Of course he could. He could do what he threatened to do earlier and that he was trying to do during the chokehold at any point if he got free.
Now,
all the more reason why you shouldn't have gotten involved in the first place.
The fact that there wasn't violence yet, there was some ambiguity. There wasn't violence yet, just the threat of it. If he could have maybe stepped in and intervened, but that would have put him in harm's way to be hurt if the person decided to attack him. So you could argue that he could have went in there and said, "Hey, man, chill out." But this is the safest way for Daniel Penny to keep that woman safe. And she thanked him afterwards. The people there seemed to side with him.
If we want to go down to antidote Andy's a little bit, like I've stopped an assault from happening by yelling at somebody, and I am a 5'6" nothing dude. So, was
he a large man on Spice who was screaming to kill people and he was schizophrenic?
He was. I'm pretty sure he was doped up on some sort of drug and also taller than me and bigger than me.
Yeah, it's very possible that you could have gotten your ass kicked by doing that, just to be clear.
Yeah, probably.
And look,
I'm just
intervening is good, but just to be clear. Like
intervening can be good,
yeah,
but you shouldn't do it in such a way that can cause the death of another person.
It depends how they're acting.
Violence is not necessarily the answer, which is where all my stuff comes from. I don't think that this rose to the state of violence.
Yeah, let me be clear. Personally, if I look over and I see like a mother and her small child, and she is like holding her child and like shoving the stroller to get like to put this in between her and somebody who's screaming that he's going to kill people, somebody who is by all accounts like acting pretty bizarre and acting very aggressive. And by the way, this is only relevant because we don't have a video of the incident, but this dude has a long history of being a problem. And between 2019 and 2021, 3 different assaults, one of which he punched an elderly lady. Oh, by the way, all of them were unprovoked assaults on women, all 3 of them. One of them, here's why it matters, because we don't have a video of the incident. So you are asking me to predict how aggressive he was being.
Hold on. So the reason why, let me...
Penny's response there with things that Penny didn't know.
No.
It's not that Penny didn't know it. It's not that Penny didn't know it. Let me step in and be the bridge builder here. All this stuff happened before Penny got involved, right? Presumably, Penny saw some of it. We don't have video before the video began, right? We don't know what Penny saw. We don't know what happened before then. We don't know, like Lactoid is saying, how aggressive he was being. So we have to go back and look at past circumstances that he was in to see if those things that the witnesses are saying is actually accurate. Given his long rap sheet and his psychotic nature,
and assaults on random women.
Yeah, we can presumably... Well, his assault on random women doesn't necessarily matter, but his aggressiveness to them, given the stuff, could be. So
breaking their
doing
faces.
all that.
One other factor I'd like to bring in.
Hold on. Often Topical has said that it doesn't matter, and I'm curious as to his argument and why it doesn't. So you've given your argument for why it does. Fair. Often Topical, I'm going to give you the chance to give your argument for why it does not. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we can say when we're talking about the charge specifically, and to clarify again, I am mostly defending criminally negligent homicide. When we're talking about the charge here, it's not like Penny put Neely in a chokehold after Neely was shouting, "I have multiple convictions for assaulting women, and I'm a criminal, and I am very aggressive." So none of that really matters here. We can say like, oh, it speaks to, what could have happened if Neely hadn't stepped in, and that's why it was okay that, or if Penny hadn't stepped in, and that's why it's okay that Penny stepped in. My point is that Penny's stepping in, we have to look at in a vacuum of what we know, which is that Neely is shouting at people, he's being aggressive, he's getting in people's faces, he's scaring people. I don't think that justifies choking someone to death.
Fair enough, but just so I can hopefully get this divide thing situated. Flactoid's point is mostly based on this gives credence to the woman's fear because we don't have video of it, and this goes to the jury, where the jury can be like, hey, maybe what the woman is saying is true because of his past history.
Can I elaborate a little bit?
Give me a second, because I just want to pick on Often Topical just a minute, just to so I can understand what he's arguing. Does that make sense? And I'll let you go, Lactoid, after this. But Often Topical, do you understand, or can you see, or in your opinion, do you think that Penny was justified in thinking that, given just the information that he had available, right? So he didn't know about the charges, but just from the behaviors that have been alleged, do you think that Penny was justified in thinking that Neely might have been violent?
Might have been violent. I think that's totally justified, and I think that you could justify, and I don't disagree with Penny stepping in and intervening. My issue is with the manner in which Penny intervened more than anything else.
Go ahead, Lactor.
So let me elaborate. When I'm pointing out the fact that he has this rap sheet and he has these violent assaults, I think the perception is that I'm making the point, well, Penny obviously knew that he was violent, and that's why he intervened. I'm not saying that Penny knew any of this, right? I'm not saying that Penny knew about his prior assaults, but here's why it's still relevant, okay? If we had a video of Neely acting unhinged, if we had a video from like the very beginning where Neely's just sitting there and then all of a sudden he goes on his tirade and starts acting aggressively, then I wouldn't give a fuck about Neely's history at this point when it comes to evaluating the case, because it's just not relevant at all, because we have the video. We don't need to imagine or predict what Neely was acting like, because we can see directly what Neely was acting like. But without that video, we don't have the video of Neely acting aggressive. All we have are witness statements, right? And so the question is, how much veracity, how truthful are these witness statements? How accurate are they? Well, I don't know. We have to evaluate each witness independently. So if you have somebody saying that this guy acted unhinged, we don't have a video of it, but they're saying this guy acted unhinged, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you look into the guy and you see, wow, he's acted unhinged a lot lately. Consistently over and over and over again, he's acted unhinged. Does that make it no more likely that this time he was also acting unhinged? I think it makes it more likely. This guy has obviously demonstrated a proclivity for acting unhinged, and so when somebody alleges that he was acting unhinged, I think it's more likely. If somebody has done heroin every day for the past 100 days, and then I hear somebody allege, hey, I saw you do heroin today, it is way more accurate if I know that you've been doing heroin the past 100 days than if I don't know if you've been doing heroin the past 100 days, right?
So what we're trying to do here is basically build the.
I understand. I wanted to give Ryzen seems like he's bursting at the seams here. I want to give him a chance because I know he's on the kind of like the opposite side of you guys. I want to give him a chance to kind of do that, right? To go with that. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to point out again that it doesn't matter what the history was, and I understand you're not saying like he knew the history and that's why he responded. All you can legally do is everything you can to protect yourself and protect people you care for. You cannot take active movements to harm a person. And that's what happened. So, like, we can point out he was, like, aggressive, he was scary, that kind of thing. Being scared of someone doesn't give you the right to harm them.
Yeah, it
Sorry.
can.
Sorry, finish your statement.
Wait,
Sorry.
wait, to be clear, it 100% can. Like if someone pulls a gun on me,
This might be a difference between Australia and the United States legally. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Right.
I get a little excited.
I appreciate that. Like, and to be fair, like it is. I'll tell you what, mate. When I'm around fucking Aussies, mate, I'll tell you what, we don't know what. But it is. I don't understand the laws and structures of America, but from what I understand is that if someone pulls a gun on you, that's not fear. That's a response to legal threat. Yeah. Whereas just being scared is subjective.
Yeah, it's a response. It's a response to threat. Exactly.
Being scared is how we measure threat, though.
Yes,
that's
the
afraid difference in the United States.
Yes, but being scared of something is subjective, and the levels of fear are not like a reasonable response. So if you go to court, which we keep going back to the legal aspect, which isn't part of this discussion from what I'm aware of, but if you go back to the legal aspect, just subjective fear is not enough to take a life. It's enough for you to respond in a way to protect yourself, but it is not enough to actively harm other people. So if you're saying that I am fearful of this thing, you cannot then actively harm that person. If you're walking down the street at night and you see someone who's like, built like lactoid, muscly, and or like looks like Whick with the big beard and the hood, you can't just be like, this motherfucker's scary.
Hold on, is anyone going to be scared of me going on a subway? Or look, just if I come on the subway and I start, I don't know, like yelling at people, is someone going to be scared of me?
I tell you what, Whick, we're scared of swooning too hard and passing out. So
well, you should be scared of me right now because I'm moderating this panel, so you will.
Okay, that's
there will be consequences. So
I said you're attractive. I said you're attractive. Sure.
Fear is wise in this case. If you've lost fear, you've lost a friend.
Well,
but I do want to kind of like.
Can I choke you out because of the fear?
It's got to be both. It's got to be subjective and objective in the sense of being in accordance with the reasonable person standard. If you are afraid, if you are subjectively in your own experience afraid for your own life or other people's lives, and a reasonable person in your shoes would be afraid for your life or other people's lives, you can use lethal force in the U.S.
No, yes, you can use lethal force in order to protect yourself or the ones you love.
Others. Yep.
Unless there is other avenues to avoid it, right?
Not in the U.S.
Can you hang on?
So really?
Yes, in the U.S.
something you can kill someone. That's
I wanted to give Brandon a chance too.
Well, in New York, there is a duty to retreat. So.
In some states there's a duty to retreat and other stuff like that, but like
they were trapped
it's a different standard.
Car.
Yeah,
there was no retreat.
Yep.
Right, there was nowhere for them to go.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There was nowhere for them to retreat to. They could not run away. They were trapped. But I want to give Brandon a chance because Brandon hasn't gone in a while and he's been signaling or trying to get in here. So I want to make sure that he gets a chance to have his say. Go ahead, Brandon, please.
Thank you, Whick. I wanted to ask the other panelists that I guess opposed Penny. Do you think that the people on the train had reasonable fear, had a reason to fear for their lives? Because multiple people said that they did fear for their lives. Do you think that was reasonable considering? I know you all just keep saying that he was threatening and stuff, but by definition, you could argue he was assaulting people. So, with that in mind, does that do you think people had reason to fear for their lives?
Yeah, are you asking if that Jordan had he could actually kill someone, or what kind of threat level are we just talking about? Being punched and
injured,
or are we talking about actually being killed?
Bodily harm.
Could he potentially break a woman's face like he did a couple years prior, or not even a couple years prior? Actually,
I could see them saying I feared for my safety.
Yes,
but fear for your life. I don't think. And obviously, none of us were there. None of us know what happened. And some people said that they were fearful for their lives. Other people said that they weren't afraid of them at all. So I would say I could see someone saying I was fearful for my safety. And a response to that, I think, is more justifiable. But fear for my life, I don't think there's any indication, considering that all that we see him do, or all that we know that he's doing is screaming and yelling, being scary.
About how he wanted to kill someone, right?
It was generic. It wasn't directed at anybody. So I mean, I know that this might just be the lib in me coming out or the lefty in me coming out, but like just generalized. Oh, I'm mad. I'm gonna kill somebody. I don't give a fuck if I go to jail. Like that's what he was doing, standing there, not getting in anybody's faces. From the video that we have, when he was doing that, it's not a reasonable justification to think that you are in fear of your life.
We don't have a video of that at all.
I thought that we did.
No, we have a video of him on the ground. The video starts and Daniel's already got him.
No. We do have video of him doing this because I remember specifically watching it.
Wait,
if you find that, I will definitely.
I'll try to find it. I'll try to find it again.
My understanding is there's no video of Neely like being aggressive.
But that's the thing. Like this video, I'm saying he wasn't really being aggressive. He was standing there and he was just he's just mad. Basically, he wasn't like in anybody's faces. But it's like a 30-second clip or something, and then all the other stuff happens. I'm pretty sure that we have that video.
I mean, look, I'll take a look at it.
Hold on. If you can find that video, send it to me. I have not seen that video. I would like to.
I'll try. I make no promises because one, memory sucks just in general for people, so I could be conflating a different case. But the other thing is it's very hard to find stuff when something is topical that's very old, especially if it was just uploaded to like Twitter or something. But the other thing is to the reasonable person standard, I don't like the reasonable person standard. I think that we need to have it altered in some way because what's reasonable to a man might not be reasonable to a woman. So a lot of people that were saying they feared for their life have not been men in the situation. It could have been the women, and women have a lower threshold for tolerance and for risk.
You're right.
And this is a thing that is very much a thing that we don't take into account. And this is a thing that we need to take into account in much more situations, especially when it comes to threats of violence against women and threats of rape.
Sure, but this is clear. So right here, a mother with a child testified that Neely charged at passengers and she shielded herself and her child behind his stroller, believing she may die. It is true that perhaps she is a heightened threat perception from a large man who the witnesses testified Neely was making half lunge movements at other passengers and was within half a foot, 6 inches, of people. He was saying things like, I don't mind going to jail and getting life in prison. I'm ready to die. Someone is going to die today. Penny said that Neely repeatedly threatened to kill other passengers, right? I mean, if this is true, which again, we have to evaluate based on the credibility of the witnesses and based on what we know about Jordan Neely's history. If this is true, like sounds like a very chaotic situation in which you have somebody being incredibly aggressive. And the thing that gets me is like the mother with the child using the stroller in between herself and Neely, and she thinks she's going to die. That's what she testified in court. That's rough, right? And if a situation like that's happening, and here's the other thing that's like, we didn't even talk about. It wasn't just Daniel Penny that made this decision to like restrain this guy. There was 2 other people that jumped in, one of whom was a black man, right? So, and this is relevant because the race element here is being talked about. And so in 3 people's independent judgment here, they figured this guy was enough of a threat that they had to restrain him and hold him down on the floor of the subway. And that lends even more credibility, I think, to the witness testimony that this guy was acting like an unhinged psychopath.
Could I get in here and also to help Lack toward building this profile? So we have a history on this dude. After he punched a 60-year-old woman and got felonies for it, the prosecutor reached a deal where he would go into a restorative alternative to incarceration program where he stayed for about 2 weeks and then left on his own. So this shows he skipped out on jail and got put into a halfway house, and then he escaped as soon as he could and got charged with that. So like he was willingly. The accountability on him here is completely flying under the radar. This dude was intentionally living as a criminal and acting in a way violent, mostly toward women. So, like, we're talking about that standard that you were saying we need to recognize for women. Look at his victims.
I've got to respond to this.
Yeah, I guess.
So one at a time. Let's go. Yeah, go. Calhoun. I'm sorry, I forget your name sometimes. Calhoun,
I don't. Yeah, Calhoun. I don't like this idea of criminalizing public meltdowns. From all I've seen, Jordan Neely is a very clearly unwell person. I don't believe he was consciously making the decisions to live a criminal lifestyle. I think he's just he was just a unwell person likely put through circumstances that he just can't handle anymore, like most Americans nowadays. That's why there's so much support for Luigi's Mansion. Um,
That's tomorrow's. That's tomorrow's stream.
I thought we were doing that tonight too. Damn it!
No, that's tomorrow.
I want to yell at you. Fuck.
You can yell at me later. I
I
promise.
can't. I won't be on tomorrow.
I love to
No, you
yell at
can
you too.
later tonight if you'd like. When we'll get through this topic, right? But continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, we as a society have to do something to address mental health concerns here in America. Our system is absolutely disastrous.
As I understand, he was given mental care several times by the state. They put him in
But
several
was he given,
facilities and things. They just
was
he just left. He refused care.
It needed to be not voluntary. That's the problem. He should have been
It
locked
wasn't.
up.
He got charged for leaving. It wasn't voluntary.
No, but like he should have gotten it in a prison cell. Like what I'm saying is he should have not been able to leave.
You're what you mean is to say institutionalization because they don't get the care that they need in prison.
And
Well, hold
New
on.
York City is actually pushing for that.
Sure, that's
more.
fine. That's fine. But like what I'm saying is, whether it be at a separate institution or whether we integrate these services in with current prisons, he again before this 3 other assaults, one of which broke a woman's nose when he decked an older lady. All 3 were unprovoked attacks. I think honestly, if you unprovoked attacks 3 random women on the subway, you should be in prison for a while. I don't want this person around in society anymore if this is the kind of behavior that this person's exhibiting. This person should have been in prison. The problem is in New York, they don't put people in prison for long enough for crimes like this.
No,
unless you're Trump, exactly.
No. That's not the issue
give it to Cypher. Give it to Cypher. Then I see you Ryzen.
Yeah, and then I'll let Ryzen. Sorry, but people do not get the treatment they need in prison, no matter if they have it if the prison has it or not. It doesn't work because they're not given the actual treatment that they need. They need wraparound services and counseling and all this other stuff, and we do not pay for the society that we want, and they're not given it in prison. This is why my brother, that he's a useless piece of shit, and I can say that because I don't like him. This is why he was in and out of prison for 20 years on drugs because he never got the mental health care that he needed in order to deal with his issues. That does not happen in prison.
Let me respond to this real quick because this is true. Prisons have a very moderate effect on recidivism, but they have a great effect on crime because they get the criminals away from me. This guy,
that's actually not true either.
No, I went through this.
It's not.
Yes. No, hold on.
We can have this debate later. I debated actual Justice Warrior on this.
I have a long document that I got. I'm telling you, if you put people who commit crimes in a cage, then they're away from me. Especially this guy. I think that if this guy was sitting in a cage, he could not hurt other people, and this would not have happened. True?
This particular person would not have done it, but it doesn't have an overall impact on lowering crime by keeping people in prison longer. It removes them from society, and it might have a modest decrease on crime, but it's not an overwhelming and positive, and the negatives outweigh the benefits because you're not actually rehabilitating the person. So when you let them out after 20 years, they have no resources and access to actually get reintegrated in society, and they're more likely to commit crime afterwards, which is why our recidivism rate is so high.
Right, but they're older. Here's the thing, the actual effect of prison is somewhat moderate. I understand that. But age is a massive mitigating factor when it comes to crime.
If that's the case, then nobody should be put in prison if you're a man, nobody should be put in prison for long periods of time after the age of 33, because that's when people typically age out of crime. Also, we should encourage men to have children and stay with them, because that also has a good decrease in crime and all this other stuff. What you're basically saying is that we should be throwing a book at people?
Yes. Well, hold on. These are all fair points and would follow the data. True. You can say we should be punishing older people, especially who are committing these kind of crimes, perhaps less than we punish younger people. This is a fair argument because you're right. People do age out of crime. But there's another caveat here. People who, like Jordan Neely, are consistent repeat criminals with these kind of severe issues and unprovoked attacks, who have already fled from the help that the city has already tried to give them. I think that if people like this were in a cage, you wouldn't have as many incidences of this happening.
Okay.
My only retort to that is that I'm okay with institutionalization. I do not want it to happen in prison. So if you want to keep them in a quote unquote cage as an institution, we can have that we can have that discussion and talk about what's proper doing that. But prison is not the answer.
Pillows, padded walls, but that's almost another debate entirely. It is related to this, so I did let it go on a little bit. I want to give it to Ryzen. Ryzen, go ahead.
Sorry, a couple of things. One is Jeb Tan, always good values, asking to join if possible, but it doesn't have to happen.
There's 7 people here already. It's enough for me to handle.
Sorry, that's fine.
Jeb Tan, I love you, buddy, but come on,
Sorry, the people in chat, but that's the other thing is if we're looking at the history of people, as a Marine, what are the chances he's killed others? So if we're saying like the murder of others or the history of someone's actions is like also a deterrent or dependent on how we act on them and possibly kill them and as judge, jury, executioner. Like anyone who's been in the Defence Force at some point has probably either killed or been connected to killing or has known someone who's killed someone, which is not this is why I've never joined the Defence Force and I've never wanted to because I know I couldn't take a life. And that's not a judgment of people in the Defence Force, but if you've been part of the Defence Force, you've probably taken a life or been active in some form. So should we judge him because he was a Marine?
Because taking lives is not the same in every case, right? So if you take lives in circumstances of defending yourself or being in the military, this doesn't have the same correlation with like future murders. That
if you're in the Marines, you're not taking lives to defend America. You're going overseas, right?
To defend America.
Taking lives in other countries.
Yeah, to defend America.
We're defending themselves. Yes, but you're going overseas actively and you are taking someone else's life. And I understand, like, the point is you're doing it to defend your country, but you are still you're invading an area. And it's unfortunate, it's horrible, and it's something that, like, it's not easy to deal with, but you are stepping in to take someone else's life. So if you've taken someone else's life, should you be judged for that? Meaning that if you're aggressive on public transport, you can be killed because retrospectively you've taken lives before. Or is it only a matter of what is happening in that incident? Doesn't matter what someone else has done beforehand, and we don't know about it, and we can't retrospectively say it's justified because of this, because no matter what happens, a person acting whatever way they are, we do not have the right to take their life then and there.
Hold on, if I may, right? I understand what you're saying, but the only question at hand, at least morally, in my opinion, is did Penny believe, and would a reasonable person believe that Neely was going to hurt someone, right? Didn't have to be kill them, but was going to do serious harm to someone. And in that case, the question becomes, what can Penny do about it? Can he restrain him? I think that the answer, at least for me, is yes. Did he restrain him too long? Again, when I initially saw the video, when I initially watched the video, I thought this seems like it's probably manslaughter. That's what I thought initially. I, however, did not go through the trial. I did not hear the testimony. I did not see the evidence. And I am a truster of our systems. So if the jury saw the evidence, went through the testimony, was able to hear the defense, and was able to get a lot more information than I had access to, and all 12 members of that jury came to the conclusion that this was not unjustified, then I trust that verdict. That's just me. But yeah, let's. I don't know why we're bringing in war.
Bad argument though, because of OJ.
Marines, right? But I wanted, again, was Penny justified in restraining Neely? And did he, a reasonable person, do it in a way that was not criminal? The jury says yes, but I'm curious what you guys say. Finish your thought.
Can I respond?
Then, yes, finish your thought. And then Lactoid, you had something to say? And I want to give a chance for Brandon and Calhoun and all them. So go ahead. Yeah.
I want to be clear, I've nothing against people defending the country and joining the military service. I was just using it as an example because he was a Marine. Yeah. My point was just we can't retroactively condemn someone because we didn't know what their history was when that happened. You can do all you need to do to defend yourself and defend people around you, and that's it. You cannot actively harm someone. Like, so if someone attacks you or your family and you knock them out, that's fine. You've done the right thing. If they're knocked out and fall down and then you get on top of them and keep beating them, that's assault. That's my point, is that at the end of the day, like, I think if I've got someone in a chokehold and they're struggling and I can feel them struggling and then they just stop, that's when I release. If I hold them...
One thing I am curious about, and maybe you guys can help me out. I'm sorry, but like, someone in chat brought this up, and it is curious to me. They were about to be a hung jury on manslaughter, which was the greater charge, the harder to convict for charge, at least in my mind. And then when that got thrown out, they suddenly fell in line and were okay with the dismissing the other charge as well, or putting not guilty on the other charge. What happened there?
It's possible that the judge throwing out that actually influenced jurors to make a decision that they wouldn't have otherwise made, which is probably why the judge shouldn't have done it, which I believe Lactoid brought up before you came on.
The defense
you came back to the panel.
The defense the prosecution wanted to dismiss it because otherwise it would have ended in a hung jury. The defense was like, no, don't dismiss it, and the judge did so anyway. So there's no way the prosecution could like come back and try to say the judge messed that up in the opposite favor because they were the ones that requested it. So
I think it shows weakness. It shows like the weakness of the first charge. So the second charge, like if the first one didn't hold to the point where it's being dismissed that late in the game, that's a weakness of the charge itself.
That's probably influenced some of the people, but also at the end of the day, sometimes people just change their mind for whatever reason, and maybe it was hung because some people on the jury really wanted to hold him to account on the higher charge and didn't care after that charge was dismissed because they didn't care about the lesser charge. We can't know, which is why inclusive charges should be done. They should exist, but a judge shouldn't probably get involved one way or the other.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Also, at this point, he can't be charged again for the primary charge because of double jeopardy because of how late in the game it was dropped.
My understanding is it was dropped with prejudice, but even if it wasn't, I think you would run into issues given the fact that the lesser included was he was acquitted on that. I mean, coming back would have so many issues, and they're not going to do it.
And I think that somebody could. I don't know who would have standing, but it would be interesting to see how this judge would get reprimanded on appeal.
A lot of people
standing.
It's not going to get appealed though. So
I know, but I'm saying.
I want to take this and this might be a short tangent, but I am curious. This is something that I've seen brought up over and over and over again, that not only in the charges brought, but the way the case was handled and the way it was prosecuted, that racism was at play. Who here believes that racism, to either a small degree, a great degree, or any degree, was at play in these proceedings? Raise your hand.
In the proceedings or in Penny's actions?
Either one.
I don't think racism played a part in Penny's actions. I do believe that politics, if not racism, may have played a part in how the case went down.
That's my
With that said, I do believe that everybody that does actions that result in somebody's death, at the very least, should always be brought to a grand jury so that we can actually have the facts aired out in the open as much as that's possible, and that we don't have issues of somebody overcharging or undercharging based on their biases. I do not trust the DAs and the cops to do that job. We as citizens have a say in that, and that's where a child comes into.
Does anyone consent to that?
I believe racism played a part in
the actions or the trial?
The trial.
Elaborate.
The white man, the prosecutor kept referring to Penny as
this innocent hero white man was prosecuted while an accomplice of his not only fled and lied to police, but disappeared for a couple of weeks and then came back and was given immunity to testify against Penny, a person of color. It was anti-white racism.
I would just push back on that hard. They got him immunity, and I really, Tyler, I don't think you actually believe what you just said, given that you're laughing your ass off right now, but also in the way you delivered it. But I'd push back on that hard, just because if we give people immunity that are involved in crimes all the time in order to make the charges try to stick to the person that you actually want to get, which is the person that was the person that was directly involved in the perpetrator of a crime. We see it all the time, so I wouldn't.
Sure, but lying to police, fleeing police, and then evading it for a week.
The most that he could have gotten charged with was accomplice to murder, which is not the. And if you can't convict, yes, but if you can't get the charge of murder to stick on the actual perpetrator, the person who was actually involved, then you're not going to have that happen. So that's why prosecutors typically end up like doing these kind of deals with people. It's not race.
That's not like I agree. That part's probably not the best evidence of racism. I do think that whether the prosecutor may have been racist or against white people, of course, or was playing to the jury's racism against white people. Seriously, you should go back. I mean, there's a story on this, right? For the prosecutor kept referring to Daniel Penny as the white man during questioning, instead of using his name, and this kind of repeated referencing like the white man. And then what did the white man do then? And then what did the white man say? It's reaffirming to the jury, this is a white man, right? A white man killing a black man, right? And that, I think, was important to the prosecution's overall theory. Now, can I prove this beyond a shadow of a doubt? No, of course not. I'm just going off of, I think, what it obviously was. I also think the reaction to this is horribly racist. I don't know if you guys saw the press conference following the not guilty verdict, but you had Neely's father, who, by the way, had been estranged from him for years, who now all of a sudden misses his son when it comes time to sue civilly, of course. He's up there, saying, insinuating that there should be violence on white people. And then there was a leader of the BLM movement in New York who went up after him and then directly said, like, there should be violence, like vigilantism done on white people.
Which one was that we should have our own vigilantes? Which one was that?
Yeah, we should have I think it's time that we have our own vigilantism or something along those lines. Pretty bad statement.
That's what he said. That's what the person said. I want to know who said that. Was it his father or the BLM guy?
That was not his father. That was the BLM. I forget his name.
So you think that it's an open call to do? Do you think that's you in your mind that is an open call to do violence against random white people?
If you're standing there and you're saying, hey, like this situation was vigilantism, and like, oh, they're always talking about, they're calling him a vigilante, or it's vigilantism when like white people do this to black people. I think it's time that we have some vigilantism when white people try to oppress us. Now, I think that is. I mean, is this something
I can push back on this too? Do you want me to?
Just one second. I'm pretty lax when it comes to charging people for like statements of violence. I'm not sure I would charge. I don't think I wouldn't charge him for this. I think this is 100% implicit, and I think it's bordering on explicit / explicit. I think it's like, what other conclusion are you supposed to draw from this, like other than violence?
Before you can respond, there was also Jamal Bowman, for example, released a statement on Twitter talking about this subject, dear white people. It's in talking about how he's always seeing the black man being killed by the white man, and the white man always getting off, etc. I mean,
it's just true.
Argue,
yeah,
is it?
Yeah, it's true more often than it's not. With a lot of cases, look at Zimmerman. I mean, if we're going to talk about people wanting, if we're going to talk about affirmative self-defense, Zimmerman's victim, which the name is escaping me right now. Trayvon Martin, thank you for not making me racist. Trayvon Martin could have stood his ground and beat the fuck out of Zimmerman to an inch of his life, and even killed him because he was legitimately in fear of his life because a man was tracing him down for a few blocks. So this is another reason why vigilantism is bad, because it gets all of this shit and it makes it come up, and that's why we should not support it at all. Period. But the pushback
can I specify what was said? Just so we're working with the same. Like, okay, so this is the exact statement. This is from somebody named Hawk. Walter Hawk Newsom. Quote, "We need some black vigilantes. People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?"
Okay. This is a BLM activist, right? That's this thing.
Yes.
So Black Lives Matter activists for you, Ryzen.
What?
So this is how I interpret that, because I know a thing or two. So there was a Black Panther group, I believe a Black Panther group in Texas that went around and patrolled their neighborhoods with guns in 2015 or so, shortly after Trayvon Martin's death. Do you believe that that is something that people should do to protect themselves because of crime?
No.
This question to me?
I'm asking Lactoid.
Yeah, I struggle with the Zimmerman case. I'm not.
But it's not about Zimmerman. This is that it was in response to that. But black people started going around in a town in Houston, I believe, in an area of Houston, and patrolled their neighborhoods to fight off crime and to deter crime armed.
Would you let me ask you hold on, let me inverse it on you.
Right. So hold on.
Hold on, no, stop. Right.
It's your panel.
I want to ask you directly you, Cypher, specifically, right? Say a white woman was killed by a black man. Should white people start arming up and patrolling the streets?
No one should start up and patrolling the streets, but I'm asking Lactoid if this is fine, because that's his position. He thinks this is okay.
I'm fine. Right. I'm fine with that. What I would not be okay with is like if there was some like situation where there was like a shooting that was justified, where like let's say a black guy who's patrolling the streets like comes across like a Klan member trying to burn down a black person's house or something, and then they get in a fight, and then like it's investigated, and the black guy was like 100% in the right. What I would be afraid, what I would consider to be a call to violence, is if like all the Klan got together and they were like, oh, these black
that's
people,
not what's being discussed here.
These black people, they want to shoot us when we like do our thing. I think it's about time that they like get what's coming to them.
This is an interpretation issue. So what I hear when I hear this person say this is not an open call of violence to go after random white people. This is an open call to actually protect their community against oppressive white people that are actively engaged in some sort of oppression. So if somebody comes in and starts to like call the cops on like noise complaints and stuff like that, then you come in and you don't necessarily go around and like be violent and start killing people, but you come in and you tell that person, this is not cool, get the fuck out. And it's the same situation that we had with the Black Panthers group. I believe it's a Black Panthers group in Houston. That's what they're talking about.
No. You didn't hear the statement, right? So people want to jump up and choke us.
I heard the statement.
Right. And choke us and kill us for being loud.
Yes.
How about we do the same? So he's specifically saying we should choke and kill when they attempt to oppress us. And the oppression is being directly linked to being loud. That's the comparison being made. And so when being hey, when you're being loud, they want to kill us when we're being loud. How about we kill you when you're oppressing? Now, when a Black Lives Matter activist says that he's going to kill white people when they oppress us, I mean, doesn't this person believe that all white people are oppressing him?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
What does that mean? That's a different interpretation.
Okay,
this is what I'm talking about.
What does it mean?
They're talking most of the time. I can't say for this particular person because I'm not a mind reader, but most of the time when a Black Lives Matter activist talks about this, and I know this because I've attended multiple Black Lives Matter meetings across the state of Texas. Did it in Austin, did it in Waco, did it in other places.
Thank you for the memberships, by the way. And gang, if you want to give me money, and if you have things you want to ask the panel here, super chat, and I will ask them. Money. Thank you, Ryzen, for the money. I appreciate it. Continue to give it to me.
If I don't hire a black person, is that oppressing black person? Am I oppressing that?
No, but most Black Lives Matter people wouldn't say it is either.
Really? It's not oppression to like discriminate against somebody on hiring?
Are you saying you wouldn't actively hire a black person, or just a random black person you didn't hire? You took somebody else?
Let's say that there was a white manager who's like, sorry, I don't hire black people. Would this be oppression?
Yes, that would be oppression.
Should he be choked out and killed?
No. But I don't think they would say that either. And that's how I'm interpreting this.
Oh, okay, so either it's explicit or it's horrendously irresponsible.
Hold on.
It's horrendously irresponsible. I give you that. Okay. But I'm not saying that this is not him actively calling out white people and telling everybody to go kill white people.
This is charged political rhetoric. This is like,
yes.
If Cypher was coming after you saying, what does Trump mean by saying, if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore? It's charged political rhetoric.
Absolute best not.
Well, hold on. If he said if you don't choke them out and kill them, cool. Like if he said we're not going to have a country anymore unless you choke them out and kill them, I'm going to be a little bit more upset actually than fight like hell.
That's not what he said. You're implying words that he didn't say.
He did. He specifically said people want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same? The same what? choke us and kill us. He's
He
talking
could have
about
been saying
choking
the
them.
same as in be a vigilante.
He's
talking about being a vigilante.
He's talking about being a vigilante. That's the interpretation. This is really
no.
It's not reading tea leaves. It's a difference in how we use language based on where we grew up.
He
That's
said
what
choke.
this is.
He used the word choke and kill.
Right after he said vigilantes, he's
Yes,
exactly.
We need some
yes.
black
He's saying we need some black vigilantes, the kind of people to choke and kill people, according to him.
When they're oppressing us. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying this is a different interpretation, and both interpretations are actually valid. And this is what happens when you have people grow up in different areas, when they live with different people.
Make sure
and
other
how
people
use
get in on
language.
this.
Black people would accuse me of oppression.
Hold on, Lactoid.
I mean, given your,
I will oppress Cypher. I will oppress you as well. I will oppress all of you. You gotta listen. I want to get other people in on this conversation, so other people have a chance to talk, so you aren't oppressing them. So give me a moment. Reason. Calhoun, you had some things to say. You want to get in on here? By all means, you have the floor.
I think that both of you are kind of like ignoring the or not addressing the elephant in the room. Yeah, you guys are parsing over like different interpretations of words being used when there is that anger with that BLM activist amongst the black community. There is an anger that that we're just not addressing. That black people are by and large, they do face an oppression. They do face institutionalized racism. Black people can be just shot to death by a cop, and that cop gets a paid for vacation. I have seen this happen literally dozens of times in my very short lifetime. I'm only 29. I remember probably the most prominent example of vigilantism is probably those three rednecks who murdered Armand Aubrey because they confused him for another black guy who broke into a construction site.
It was worse than that.
Although it probably was him, by the way, just to be clear.
No, it was worse than that though, because they didn't even have evidence that he did anything or stole anything or did any of that. Then all the white people started saying, "Oh, look, he had a hammer. He ditched a hammer, so obviously they were in the right." Like that case was wrapped up in so much racism, it's not even fucking funny. Which is again why you shouldn't do vigilantism, and why I say that you should actually have the DA and the cops should not have a say in charging people when there's a crime. It should automatically at least go to a grand jury. They did, but they didn't at first. They didn't at first because the prosecutor was friends. Well, hold on. The prosecutor and the cops were friends with these guys, so they were picked up and then let go. The prosecutor refused to charge them. The video was not released yet as well, so they were able to put out their own narrative of that, and that started people saying different things.
Are they in jail today?
Yeah, they're in jail today.
They're in jail today
because they released the video, by the way, and the people saw the video and they were like, "Holy shit, that's fucked up." Actually,
yes. They released the videos themselves, thinking that it exonerated them because they're a bunch of dumb fucks. But also, the only reason they were charged is because a DA came over another DA, the DA of the state came over the DA of the county, and actually pressed the charges of it. That shouldn't have happened at all. What should have happened was there should have been an automatic investigation, an automatic grand jury trial happening, and they should have been detained and investigated. That is why I'm saying what I said.
But in the end, justice was served. Correct?
Luckily,
it almost wasn't.
Luckily,
can I ask? Surely you recognize the Daniel Penny situation. That's not vigilantism at all, right?
If you guys think I'm downplaying this, no, they got what they deserved. They were guilty. They are.
No, Wick, we're not downplaying it. We're saying that it almost went.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying chat is accusing me of downplaying it. So I am addressing chat for a moment. Calm yourself, okay? But really, honestly, come on. I'm downplaying it by saying, "Hey, they're all in jail now." I think for how long? I'm not sure.
All of them got life.
Yeah,
all of them got life.
Forever. They're forever. And I'm downplaying this. I'm saying that's good. I'll let them rot. They're guilty. Why is that downplaying it? Okay, I hate that. Anyway, I'm getting distracted.
All of them got life? I think that's kind of odd.
They were all involved. Every single one of the people were involved.
Well, but like, how many gangbangers are in prison for life just because they killed one person? I don't know.
A lot.
They all should be.
And a lot
right?
aren't.
Maybe
right?
not
I don't
life
know.
for 20 years at least. Damn.
It
Yeah,
depends
hold on.
on,
Wait,
it depends
you're
on
right.
the
You're right.
circumstances.
Hold on. 20 years at least, 100%. And in fact, if we want to discharge anybody with murder with life, I could probably get on board with that. I just also wonder if maybe the politics had a little bit to do with the charging decisions or the sentencing here. I think that probably was related a little bit.
And I think politics, maybe
trial,
I wouldn't
man.
say race was.
Well, I watched the whole trial. That judge was pretty fucking fair. I would not impugn any discredibility on him until you at least watch him.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the trial was actually really well handled. He tried to thread a bunch of needles.
Okay. That situation might be vigilantism in the sense that they're going out and looking for this criminal. But obviously, with Daniel Penny, this is defense of others, not vigilantism, and the two are very different, right?
By a hair.
I think that's clear.
No, not by a hair.
Whoa. Cypher, do you think that the what was that guy's name? The guy that got killed by those three rednecks.
Armand Aubrey.
Aubrey. Do you think what happened to Aubrey and what happened to Neely are comparable?
No, I'm saying the definition distinction between defense of others and vigilantism is a hair difference. I don't see it as a big of a difference as Lactoid would, or probably Tyler, or based on your facial expression, you do. Because what you're doing is you're giving people permission in order to intervene to stop crime, and I don't like that because people are stupid and they fuck up.
Yeah, but you're okay with defense of others, but you're not okay with vigilantism. So, let me give you a hypothetical that I'm sure you'll agree.
No,
with.
I get it.
Yeah, like old lady about to get essayed, you would step in.
I would probably step in at the same time. I would not step in the same way. Again, it would be an escalation factor. I probably wouldn't choke somebody, yada.
It has to be a last resort, not your ambition. It has to do with intent of the specific situation.
Yeah, my whole point, what I want to get back to, what I would hope for is I would hope that this case would have sent a message to the public that says, hey, deadly force is not an acceptable escalation from somebody intimidating somebody.
He didn't mean it to be deadly force.
We've got this. He's choking him. That's deadly force.
He thought the dude, like Jordan Neely, was still alive when he got questioned by the cops. He had no idea that Neely had died.
The other dudes who were holding Neely's arms down, these witnesses say that that he said, "Hey, I'll hold his hand so you can release the chokehold."
Yeah. Then there was
and if you watch the video, he did. In fact, somebody was saying, "Hey, you got to make sure he breathes." And the black guy who's holding down Neely's arms says he's not compressing, he's not squeezing, he's just holding.
Yes. And there was other people that were witnessing that and say, "Hey, you're killing him. Somebody get the cops. Get this guy off of the other person."
Yes, and the black guy was responding to those guys. There was one guy saying, "You're going to kill him. Like you're holding too long." And the black guy is telling them, he's literally.
Why do you keep saying the black guy?
The reason why I'm saying
no. You complained earlier about the prosecution saying the white man all the time. Why do you keep saying the black guy?
Two reasons. Unlike the prosecutor who knew Daniel Penny's name, I don't know this guy's name. And second of all, I want to really emphasize the fact. I really want to emphasize the fact that it was a black guy here, because people, BLM in New York at least wants to say that this guy's racist. When the black guy is responding to these like this, with one guy in particular who's yelling, "Hey, you got to make sure he's not going to die," and the black guy is responding to him in particular, saying, like, this is right before Penny released him. He's looking over and he says, "He's not squeezing, he's just holding. I'm looking at him. He can breathe. Like he's breathing. Don't worry." Like he's responding to him.
He was wrong.
Too, then.
And then
No. He probably wasn't wrong because Jordan Neely was alive after Penny let go of him, and the cops got there, and Neely was still alive when the cops were there. He died afterwards, probably due to some delayed cardiovascular effect of the spice, the blood condition.
Oh my god! It's going to be literally everything except the chokehold.
Well, no. Hold on. The physical struggle probably has something to do with it. I'm not saying it didn't, right? I mean, that combined with everything else.
The chokehold was the issue. But what I believe Lactoid is saying to build bridges here is, because I don't like people getting wrongly accused of things, is that what Lactoid is saying is that if all of that stuff is true and he was still alive when they left and he was still breathing, then the delayed thing would have made it to where they actually were they were correct, but it still accidentally led to his death.
Exactly.
Lactoid, tell me if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the chokehold had nothing to do with it, because keep in mind, this was an issue at trial because the defense expert was saying, hey, the reason for the death, because again, no one was denying that Neely was alive after the fact. was a combination of the physical altercation, the sickle cell anemia, and spice, and the side of schizophrenia. I actually wasn't aware that schizophrenia can have those kind of physical effects as well, but that's what the medical investigators
Interesting.
said.
I think Latoyan is arguing for the pardoning of Derek Chauvin right now. That's
well. Hold on. Let's hear from Brandon. Brandon, what?
No.
Hold on, Brandon. Brandon's trying to get in. Brandon's been a good boy.
Fuck.
He's been behaving himself. Brandon gets a chance to go. Brandon, go ahead.
Real quick, I just wanted to say with the medical or with the the cause of death, the medical examiner said the toxicology report was not completed before ruling his death a homicide. Defense said schizophrenia, sickle cell, and K2 could have all played a part. So I think it's kind of interesting that the medical examiner didn't even.
It would still be homicide because without the altercation, he wouldn't have died. It's the same thing with Derek Chauvin. Yeah. Without the altercation, Derek Chauvin wouldn't have died. Without the kneeling on his back of his neck and for 9 minutes.
But it does speak to the reasonableness of Penny's intent, right? It does speak to Penny's intent because if he's looking at him and he's breathing and he's like not squeezing him beyond the fact that he's breathing, then in his mind it's not lethal force.
And he still had a heartbeat when he let go.
But still, chokeholds are recognized to be extremely dangerous forms of takedown.
Correct, physical. This is why I agree with Calhoun on this, and why we shouldn't allow chokeholds. Why I also agree with Often Topical is that the police forces have across the country have made chokeholds and blood chokes completely illegal because of various issues. Because not everybody has the same physiology as everybody else, and they can lead to unnecessary death and suffering.
Let me ask to Calhoun, to Often Topical, to Ryzen, and to you, Cypher. Do you think that Jordan Williams should be charged?
I don't know who that is.
Stabbed a man in the subway who was being belligerent. Jordan was not charged. Do you think he should have?
I have no idea who Jordan.
Okay, there is a major difference, by the way, in this case. I know that it's like to my side or whatever, but there is a major difference.
I have no idea about this case, but since my answer is every person that does an action that results in another person's death should at least go to grand jury, I'm going to say yes because that is consistent and that makes it to where we can actually look at evidence.
So just for those of you who don't, I looked into this a little bit. For those of you who don't know, the case that Whick is referring to, it was a black man who stabbed a belligerent homeless guy and killed him, and he wasn't even charged at all. The main difference, I think, was the homeless man was actively involved in punching the dude's girlfriend when he stabbed him. So
fair enough.
Also, how many times did Jordan Williams stab him? Because that could also be
that does.
If he stabbed him like 1 or 2 times, all right, that's obviously self-defense. But if he's stabbing him like 36 times or something like that, that could be just fucking murder at that point.
Yep. There's a case in Texas where a person, where somebody held up a restaurant. I believe it was like a diner. And they held it up and a guy pulled out his gun and shot the dude and then walked out.
I saw that.
Then he came back and put 2 in his chest and walked back out. That guy should have been charged with murder.
I think
so.
Well, you'd have to prove that the guy was still alive when he put the 2 holes in his chest too.
It doesn't desecration of a body at the least.
Yeah, desecration of a body. You can maybe get desecration of a body. Good luck.
Point is that it went after he came back. It went from self-defense, defense of others when he came back after he was already subdued, and the guy I believe was moving in this case, so that puts that to rest. They came back and he killed the guy to quote unquote take out the trash. And so this is again, don't fucking do vigilantism for the love of fucking God.
I don't think this falls into the case of vigilantism because when you don't have the police there, when there's not that expert, and I agree with you, the police, the public institutions need to be propped up. They have the training, they have the resources, they have the authority, and they also we surrender our violence to the government. They have the monopoly.
Hold on, no, I can't let this go. Right, this protecting others from violence is not vigilantism.
That's what I'm saying.
Tyler is saying it's not. Yeah. I'm going to continue to say that this.
It is. That's Cypher.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to continue to say that because I do not want people to get overly involved in some of these instances because people are stupid.
Say something and do something. Yeah. Now,
doing something does not mean reads to the act of violence. That's why I'm going to continue saying this.
Use the least amount of force necessary. 100% yes. But if you see someone being accosted and attacked and you can help, then by all means help. Now, again, if I'm walking down the street and I see 20 dudes beating the shit out of someone, no, I'm not going to go try to stop that because there'll just be 20 dudes beating the shit out of 2 people.
Pussy.
Right? That's all that's going to happen in that case, right? But if, for example, if Cypher, if I saw you assaulting a woman, you were like, "Come here, woman. You're only 5'6", nothing.
Please don't put that on me.
I could take you, and I would. Okay, I would knock you out. I would do whatever it takes to stop you, right? Up to and including lethal force. I would. If I saw you attacking and trying to rape a woman, I would absolutely do that. And I would hope that others do too. My concern with modern society is that we are all so cucked that we feel like, oh, it's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility. They're just, I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do. And I don't want that to be.
And Wick,
standing up for people and defending people is good and morally good. We should help
I
people.
mostly agree with you. I mostly agree with you. I've seen just too many instances of people going way too far to want it to be a generalized thing where we encourage it. That's it.
That's what I was trying to do, is give you that caveat. I definitely don't want to encourage it, but in this circumstance, it doesn't fall under vigilantism. It falls under protecting people, and we have a bunch of rules and laws in place as well for this, which is why those Ahmaud Arbery dudes are sitting in jail, but Kyle Rittenhouse isn't. So
tell me how to properly thread this needle. Tell me how to properly thread this needle, and I'll work on it.
Vigilantism is when it's your task. It's something you're putting your mind to. Whereas self-defense would be like, it's my last resort because the police aren't here to take care of it. Even though I called them, it's 10 minutes. They're on the way. Some instance like that where you don't have access.
No, I understand.
Are you seeking out the problem or not? Are you intentionally looking for a problem? If so, probably vigilantism, potentially. If you're just going about your day, you're not looking for a problem, and then one happens to happen around you, definitely not vigilantism.
I understand where you both are coming from. Give me a better way to thread the needle on what I want to try to accomplish, and I will change. I don't have that yet, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
I'm going to read this chat, even though he didn't pay me, because I think it's funny. Stark Honor says, Lactoid should not be allowed on any panel. All he does is twist facts and argue disingenuously. Whick TV, I know you love having sneaky Weasley fascists on to spread their poison.
This guy is unhinged, by the way. He was on my chat on Monday saying the same shit for an hour, just constantly the same shit over and over again about how I'm a fascist and evil and all sorts of shit. Yeah.
Unhinged. I mean, Lactoid, you are a libertarian, so the degree of difference is negligible. We all know this.
Here, I guess I do want to get it back to the subject at hand, right? Which is the case of Neely thing. I want to make sure that but this is all connected, right? And the reason I think that this is worth talking about and worth discussing is because of the idea of what responsibility does someone have when they see others under threat. And I think that, again, speaks to what Penny did in this case. He saw others under threat and he stepped in. And I worry that after all this, people will be less likely in the future to step up because of what happened to Penny.
I don't, because he was acquitted specifically, and that means that we as a society in New York.
But he had to go through that shit. But hold on, I 100% agree with Wick here. You're right, he was acquitted, and Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted, etc. But the level of trauma and expense and the potential for destruction that can happen. Because a lot of America was calling in both these situations for these people's head on a stick, right? They wanted them to go to a cage for the rest of their life. And I for me, for example, I'd be very hesitant to get involved and save an old lady who's getting dismembered, because what if the person dismembering the old lady is black, and then I'm going to be called racist? I might just let the lady die. I don't know.
I think you're overly concerned about the racist label charge. I think you
I was just called a fascist in Wick's Twitch.
Yes, by a person online. Who gives a fuck? Stop being a pussy.
People online breathe and they're outside as well. They're
no. My point is that you're overly concerned about getting labeled these things. When if what you actually care about is doing the right thing, then you shouldn't give a shit and just do the right thing.
I care about the right thing thing, but I also don't want to be in a cage. So I mean, there's
No.
conflict between the two sometimes.
In the 2020 debate, Chris Wallace, who was at Fox News at the time, called Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist in like one of the most viewed debates of our lifetime.
Did he call him one?
Yes.
Or did he? No. Was he saying others were calling him one? There's a distinction.
He was saying there was shooting and unrest from white supremacists in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
That's true.
It was Kyle Rittenhouse, the only person that was shooting.
No, I mean, it just could be
the dude that shot in the air prior to that started the whole event.
Yeah, the dude that shot in the air should also be in prison. Is he in prison? Please tell me he's in prison.
I know. He got arrested. He was on Code Blue Cam. He got arrested for drugs. It was something different.
If you got arrested for shooting your guns in the air, half my fucking neighborhood would be in prison.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they should be though. Like that's dangerous.
Damn! Hold on! Wait! You said two things. So you said like, if you got arrested for shooting in the air, half my neighborhood would be in prison. And didn't you just say before that you've seen like cops kill a bunch of people in your neighborhood?
What?
I'm pretty sure before.
No, he said he didn't say his neighborhood. He said in his small time on Earth, he has seen this happen instances.
Years on Earth, he sees
I was pointing out
down by cops, and the cops get out.
I was gonna say like, do you live like in like one of those at-risk neighborhoods? Like, do you live in the? You okay?
Well, I used to live in Missouri City, Houston, but I don't anymore.
I'm on the Gaza Strip. People shooting in the air all the time.
This is a distraction, though. Like this is okay. We're not here to discuss his
just
thing,
to bring it
again to bring it back. Let's give it to Ryzen. Maybe Ryzen can get us back here.
Yeah, just to bring it back to the point, we're discussing a single incident, from what I understand, and you don't need to know what happened previously. We don't need to know like the justice system. We're reacting to what happened at the time. And I keep bringing it back to the fact that you can do everything you need and you're physically capable of to defend yourself and others in a situation, and that's it. You can't go further than that. And yes, it's really hard to wrestle someone to the ground without harming them, but it's not that difficult, even if they weigh more than you, to wrestle someone to the ground, especially if they're messed up. Like, it's the same as like any security guard working a pub or whatever. The moment that some drunk person fronts up to you, you could slap them gently and they're going to fall over and knock themselves out. Like, there's only so much that needs to be done. When someone's on meth...
All of us are on steroids, Aussie Hawk.
Sorry?
All of us are on steroids, bro.
I mean, he looks like that one guy from Street Fighter, Zeke or whatever.
Fucking Zangief.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Saying, I'm just casually, but I had a beach ball, but I threw it over there. It's gone. No. Sorry. I put someone called me the Aussie something, so I was like, I'll find an Aussie singlet. Point is, you can wrestle bigger people to the ground, especially if they're intoxicated. If they're on meth or like hyped up on something, it is much harder, but you can still take them down. Taking someone okay. Oh my God, Tyler, you're making me feel unprepared. This is I'm uncomfortable now. It's
you're gonna get banned from this gun show.
Okay, just keep going. So
it's
finish
hard
your
to take
point.
someone to the ground without harming them. So police, prison officers, I used to be one. Like to take someone to the ground without harming them needs multiple people. To take someone to the ground and harm them doesn't take that many people. You can drop someone easily, you can drop someone hard. If you've got someone on the ground and you're choking them out, you know when they stop moving and stop resisting, and you don't need to keep doing it for a long period of time. My point is that...
No, get to your point, and then we're going to go to often topical. Go ahead.
My point was just, thank you very much, Whick. You're very attractive, and I appreciate your chat show. Thank you very much.
Often topical, please.
So I want to kind of piggyback off of that into a more succinct sort of way. So I know what I gather, Tyler, Lactoid, Brandon, and to a lesser extent, Whick, I think too, all agree that in this case, intervening in some sort of way was justified for Daniel Penny in this case. Do you all agree that deadly force was justified in this case?
Intentional deadly force, I'd have to be there. I think there are situations in which it could have, and there are situations which it wouldn't have. Like, so for example, if I
in this case,
if I was there and I was Penny and I saw Neely, and I thought and I believed that they were going to hurt that woman, then yes, anything I had to do to stop them was justified.
So you would,
Anything,
but that's
I had
not
to
how
do to stop them was justified. Morally, I'm
legally
not talking
speaking.
legally.
Okay.
I'm talking morally.
Yeah,
Here, I'm gonna
If
steal
someone
Amanda's
was going
argument.
to hurt them seriously, and I really believe that. And I saw someone who is coming up on a woman with like a steel pipe or something, or coming up on a woman going to strangle them or whatever. Yes, whatever I had to do to stop them, I would try non-lethal first, right?
Yeah,
I would
that's-
absolutely try non-lethal first. But if that wasn't working,
So yeah, that's the difference. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Also,
that's my position too, which is that like like if he whipped out the shotgun and just blew him away, no. But if while they're struggling on the ground, he feels Neely getting the upper hand, and in order to prevent that from happening, he has to use some kind of maneuver that could result in Neely's death, I think that's probably justified.
Yeah, it'd be unintentional homicide. But this is the whole thing. I think for most of us on the, I guess the anti-Penny side, I don't care that he was acquitted, so I don't consider myself to be on that side necessarily. Is that the chokehold itself probably wasn't justified? I believe that is often Topical's stance, and I believe that might be Calhoun's stance in Ryzen's as well.
I think that there could have been, like, he possibly could have done something better than a chokehold, but at the same point, he did what he thought he needed to do, and I think it was mostly justified. If you wanted to charge him for the criminally negligent homicide, right, then, like, I can understand that, but I could also have understood them not charging him because, you know, a lot of people would understand the situation, and so you don't necessarily have to, like, charge everyone.
Look, we can. Sorry, I thought you were. We can make
No, go
rules
ahead.
for the police. Like we can tell the police not to do chokeholds, but private citizens are not under any restraint to not do that. It was completely
Which is why-
justified.
The cops
We-
also have tasers too, right?
They have tasers, they have guns, they have other resources they can use that are non-lethal. Rubber bullets. All he has is that chokehold, and he's just a private citizen. We don't make rules for his actions. So in terms of like it not being justified because of its higher chance to be lethal force, like, sorry, but that's all he's got, man.
I just don't know what should he have
if he had
done.
pulled out a 9mm and popped him, okay, then yeah, what are you doing, brother? But like,
He ain't got these guns right here. You know, if he was me, I'd say, okay, maybe it's unjustified.
Well, but wait, what if you pulled out the gun to like say like get on the ground and then Neely charged him? I would think
That'd be
shooting.
different.
I think shooting would be justified there.
That would the threat of violence to stop the threat of violence is fine. If that person then escalates, which is why I don't think people should be pulling guns on other people because people are stupid.
Weenie.
I think this. Sorry, I was just going to say real quick. This isn't in New York, but this was in my state of Virginia, in Northern Virginia, a more liberal area. There was these pranksters, and they went up to this guy. I think it was 3 people, and they just said on their phone like, "Hey, dipshit, stop thinking about my twinkle." And they kept following him for like 20 seconds or whatever. And then this guy just pulls out a gun in the mall and shoots the guy.
Yep.
And
I remember
he ended up getting
that case. But go ahead.
he ended up getting off because I think it was because like they.
I got off to that video.
That's somewhat fair.
The reason being the justification was that is that he tried to retreat multiple times. They followed him for like a block. And he's like, if you don't fucking stop, I'm going to do something. And then they did refuse to stop. And so he pulled out his gun and shot them. I believe he shot him in the leg, though. Is that
I think
true?
It was his stomach.
I think he shot him in the stomach, but I think that maybe I don't think that it was justified because I think that if you have an opportunity to like prevent this from happening that doesn't involve lethal force, you should probably take that if you can easily do so. And I think pulling out a gun and threatening somebody with it could have easily happened there as opposed to like quickly whipping it out and just shooting right away, which is what happened.
There's a lot of instances where jury.
Hold on, I don't remember the details of the case enough to.
I saw the video. Like he
it's been a while. So
yeah, he basically stealthily like pulled it out and shot him right away.
Yeah. It wasn't justified. It wasn't justified. I was going to say that the people will there are going to be times where a jury is going to be like, man, you fucked around and found out it's on you. And that's one of these cases. And I don't like that either. So
I think with like we have like a lot of shit from the 80s, 90s where gangs used to do shit like that. Hey, you got spare change. and they'd walk up and rob you and shit like that. And now we have the knockout game. I feel like if you tell somebody to leave you alone, it's kind of justified that you might use some sort of force with certain instances. That knockout shit was pretty popular for a while, man.
But the knockout game was not following somebody for a block saying stop touching my twinkle. And also in those situations, if you pull out a gun, that should be enough to get somebody to go away.
Here's what we're gonna do. I want to respect everyone's time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I was late, gang. I know we've run over, and I appreciate you guys for staying for over. I'm gonna let everyone have their closings and tell people where they can find them, all that. We're not gonna end the stream quite yet. I do have a couple other things, announcements to make, and a couple other things I want to go over just briefly. You all are welcome to stay for that if you'd like, but you don't have to. And I want to give everyone their outro, their closing statement, all that. We're gonna start with Calhoun, and we're gonna let Tyler be the anchor here. So Calhoun, closing thoughts. Where can people find you if you want them to find you? Go ahead.
Yeah. I still believe that Daniel Penny should have faced some sort of punishment for using a chokehold, a maneuver that's widely discouraged to use. I think the how we treat mentally unwell people in America needs massive reform, because we're seeing that more and more often these days. Just people losing it for any number of reasons, and it's creating a culture of fear and distrust, as it's only going to perpetuate the cycle. There will only be more people who just get killed on the streets just because they had one bad day. I'm new to this. This is the first time I've ever really been on a discussion panel. I'm thankful for you guys for having me. I don't have any social media but beyond my Twitter page, which you can find me at Calhoun95. Thank you.
Check
Thank
him
you,
out,
and
Calhoun.
good night.
Yeah, Calhoun95. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Brandon, go ahead.
So I think that Penny, I wouldn't consider him a hero, but I also wouldn't consider him a vigilante. I think he just did what the people around him kind of needed him to do, and that unfortunately led to the death of Neely. The system did fail Neely, but also I think the people around him failed Neely. So it's just kind of a shit situation. I think it's kind of sucks that people make up their opinions so quickly. From what I've seen, people made up their opinion on this situation like almost immediately, and not much of that has changed. It's pretty similar to Rittenhouse, and people are so divided on partisan lines, even in New York City. Hopefully, New York City will try and implement some laws like not institutionalizing, but putting people into like mental health service if they're acting erratic. I also think identity politics somewhat played in a role, and I think you could also argue that both sides did it, but I think most people that saw it mostly saw it coming from the left. Yeah, I think it's just an overall terrible situation, but I think that justice was mostly served in this case. This was my first debate as well, so thank you so much for having me, Whick. You can find me on Twitter at _BrandonS101, and I also stream on times at Brandon S101. Thank you.
Check him out, Brandon S101. Thank you for being here, and I'm glad you reached out, and happy to have you again.
Really
Ryzen, go ahead.
I just want to say, at the end of the day, like it's still proportional force, proportional defense kind of thing. So whatever someone views as fearful or scary or dangerous, there's still proportional defense. And if you go over that, it's murder, it's assault, whatever you want to call it. So I also want to say thanks very much for having me, Whick. I've really enjoyed it. I'll stay as long as you'll keep me and not throw me to the void. Lactoid, thanks very much for hosting beforehand. You did really well, and I appreciate it. Tyler, your gun show put me to shame, so that made me upset. I appreciate all of you chatting. I just want to say, like, Portland, Testy,
Ignore the chatters.
Mad Honeybee, the chatters, like good value people. I really appreciate you all. And that Stark guy is fucking insane. All I've seen him do is talk about how lactoids are fascist because
Ignore
he has an opinion on a situation. But yeah, no, thank you all. I don't really do anything on social media and whatnot. I disappear for a long period of time, but I'll stay here for as long as you'll have me. So cheers.
Well, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. Check them out, gang. Next up, Often Topical. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my closing statement would be that at the very least, charges should have been brought. I'm really glad that they were. I don't think that you should be able to just kill somebody and then walk away. The justice system, I think, should discourage preemptive escalation to deadly force, and I believe that choking is deadly force. I personally wish that he would have been convicted, but at the end of the day, the ruling is what the ruling is. The court system that we have is the court system that we have, and I can disagree with it, but I don't think that that should mean that someone should rise to actions in retaliation to the ruling. And lastly, I want to say, in stark opposition to what Ryzen said here, I hate chat. You're all bad people unless you super chat. Then you're a good person. Otherwise, chat sucks. And you can find me on Twitter at Often Topical.
Check them out, gang. Thank you for being here. And yes, chat can get pardons for their sins through giving you money. Indulgences, if you will. Lactoid, please.
So I'm going to go ahead and this is following the trial, the day after the trial. Daniel Penny did an interview, and he said that he was in a very vulnerable position, but he felt compelled to act. Quote, "I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed," Daniel Penny told Fox News in a clip that aired Tuesday. I think this guy was a hero. And I think that for me, the difference between a hero and a non-hero is somebody who, at their own risk, feels compelled to act for the benefit of others. I think Kyle Rittenhouse was a hero because he did the same thing. When Kenosha was burning, he brought a fire extinguisher to help put it out. In Daniel Penny's case, when people in the subway, including a mother with her child, were feeling in danger, he stepped up and he acted, perhaps when other people didn't have the courage to. And it's a good thing that he did. Otherwise, perhaps that child could have ended up, or that mother could have ended up like any of the 3 prior women that Jordan Neely had randomly assaulted. And maybe he could have broken that child's face based on the way that he was acting. So I think that, looking at the situation right now, Daniel Penny acted very rationally. I think he acted in a restrained manner. I think that he could have done more, but he chose not to because I think that he wasn't trying to hurt Neely. I think he was trying to prevent Neely from hurting other people. And that's why I think he's a hero. And I do think that racism was part of it. I do think that politics was a part of it when it comes to the narratives being built around Daniel Penny. I think that BLM is a hack organization when they're out there saying that this was motivated in any which way by racism. Absolutely ridiculous. There was no evidence of that. One of the men that was helping Daniel Penny was a black man who also acted out of the desire to help other people on the train. And so to some regards, he is a hero as well. And the other man, I don't know the race of that man or any other details, but it sounds like he was a hero as well. So to the 3 heroes that helped the other people, the people in the subway prevent the people in the subway from getting harmed, I salute you. And I'm glad that Daniel Penny was acquitted. And I'm glad that we live in a society in which when you defend yourself or when you defend other people, you don't get punished necessarily. You don't get punished for it. So if you like what I had to say, you can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
Thank you. And thank you for hosting when I couldn't and taking up the reins of moderation for the hour or so, which the CIA tried to cut my power to keep us from having this discussion. But you know what? They can't keep a good Whick down, not for long. So thank you again. Cypher, go ahead.
Thank you, Whick, for inviting me on the panel. Thank you, Lactoid, for hosting while we were waiting on Whick due to the power outage. Appreciate it. So, as I said at the top of the debate before, people on Wick's channel were able to see, this is all around a tragedy. I do not believe that people should take it upon themselves to enact deadly force against others in defense of others unless deadly force is 100% necessary. I believe that Penny did what he thought was right, but that doesn't mean that what he did was correct action. With that, I do not fault the man for doing what he did. I just wish he would have done it in a different way that would have not led to the loss of life. Additionally, in that, we are all victims of this capitalistic hellscape. No, I'm not a communist. I'm just keeping it real. The reason I say this is because had we had a proper system that we actually have mental health care for people, Neely would not have been in the situation in which he was in. We do not have that system because we do not pay for the society in which we actually all want to live, which is a just society that takes care of its people in ways that make them productive members of society. The entire system failed Neely, and we should all focus on that, not just how the system may have failed Penny. So if you like anything that I said on this panel tonight, please go ahead and check out me on across all social medias. The main ones I use are YouTube, TikTok, and Blue Sky. You can find me at Cypher Report, spelled with a Y, not an I, because what we do on my program is to help you decrypt the world by giving you the tools, analysis, and information. So if that's what you are into, check me out on those channels. Thank you again.
Check him out, gang. Cypher Report. You can find him on all the things he listed. Thank you for being here. Usually I have everyone's links and stuff in my YouTube description, but we didn't get a chance for that today. So please, if you want to find them, please rewind back to the portion where they say their name and shit and find them. Last but certainly not least, Tyler, go ahead.
First of all, Wick's delay was completely unprofessional, and this rinky-dink scramble that we have right now to debate is going to have negative reviews posted about it on Twitter as soon as I'm finished here. Secondly,
pure fascism.
Secondly, if choking is deadly force, and about half the girls I've known in my life, they like to be attemptedly murdered.
Oh shit!
Hold on.
Is that the closing?
Not yet. I'm not done yet.
No, you're done. Okay, you can find Average Debate Destroyer on all platforms. His name's Tyler. You can check him out. You can find his links. Gang, you can go if you want, but I wanted to take a moment. I know we're going to talk about this tomorrow in detail. Okay, detail. We're going to be discussing the Luigi murder. The murder that Luigi did, to be clear. But I just want to take a moment because I have to. Here, I'll show everyone on the screen. I'll share my screen here so you guys can see it too.
Wick, before you get into it, I was able to find the video of Neely being unhinged prior to it was in a report, so I'll drop that for everybody in the chat.
Put this down. So here's the little memes they're making of little Luigi here. So Luigi was found in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and someone at McDonald's, we're not sure who, called it in. And this is the memes that the left is making. Anne Frank, yeah, she's in the attic. 120,000 likes at the last time I checked, right? Obviously, when I screenshotted it was much less.
Wait, do you think this is only the left making these horrid
of course
things?
Not, but this one was
thank you.
the left, okay? And it's being pushed by the left.
It's being pushed by everybody.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
The right is also pushing it to some extent, but the left is the champions here. Let's say this, right? This is how I know white supremacy exists, and let me explain. The Houthi pirate had the title of Anne Frank for a long time. He had to work hard for that title, and this white man comes across along and steals his title. Okay, Hassan has dubbed officially, right, the Houthi pirate as Anne Frank, and this guy comes and steals his title. That's how I know white supremacy exists. That's how I know it's true. What are our thoughts? I'm curious everyone's thoughts. Luigi, justified, unjustified, hero, not a hero? What do we think?
Hero of the masses.
I have a quote that I made. I had a thing.
Hero? Who was hero guy?
That's me.
Okay, you think he's a hero?
Yeah,
what you think?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a real reason why so many people are in celebration of what Luigi did. Yeah, not of him as a person. You know, he's a rich boy, tech bro with a who's ideologically incoherent, but I'm
Usually are.
But it doesn't. It's not a very bold prediction to say that he probably had someone in his life get fucked over by the healthcare system.
He did.
I've had that. I know you guys would be lying if you guys didn't say you didn't know someone who was fucked over by the healthcare system. Everybody hates the healthcare system, and these CEOs they're going to have to realize that our lives are not as expendable as they seem to think it is, and until the day they don't, their lives will be expendable.
I gotta bounce, but I'm just gonna say this: as a lawyer, please don't kill people just because they have professions you don't like. Thank you. Pretty horrific, pretty insane. If you want some kind of like change here, do it the political way. Don't go out and kill people on the street. Please, probably a bad idea to do that. Yeah, thanks.
I mean, you should listen to the people expressing their outrage.
We have.
Hang on.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was just an election, and apparently most of America doesn't agree with their outrage. So.
No. This is hold on. Before Lactoid goes, this is not a left-right thing. This really isn't. Over half of the people that I've interacted with that have praised this killing have been right wingers.
No, I understand. I understand. There's like some crazy right wingers, but I'm saying that
it's not.
I agree with Whick here. The basis of support is like these hardcore leftists, these anarchists.
That is just what you're being exposed to. I am telling you, there's people. There is a lot of people, especially on TikTok. Hold on. There's a lot of people, especially on TikTok, that are trying to make this into a conspiracy where he's part of this Operation Mayhem bullshit, where we're all. It's not about left versus right. It's about top versus down, and they are doing this from the right wing. The vast majority of people that are opposed to this are opposed to it for the same reason that Calhoun said that
right wing influencers.
Not talking about major right wing influencers.
Hold on. I am, because this is an important distinction. We can pick out major left wing influencers who are cheering this guy.
Yes, but they're getting dragged.
Hold on, stop. Right, let me finish, and then you can respond. Secular Talk, I think TYT did it to some extent. A few of them do the mealy mouth thing, like, "Well, I don't support violence, but," and then they go off on it, right? Let me finish. I'm not done, please. Oh my God. Okay. That is almost primarily on the left wing. The right wing ones, Tim Pool, Joe Rogan. Well, I haven't heard Joe Rogan's stance on it yet. So
Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro.
Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro. The major right wings are saying this is crazy, right?
Yes, and their audiences are dragging them in their comments.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Influencers, the thought leaders.
They're not thought leaders here. That's my point. They're being dragged by their own audiences because their audiences do not agree with them. This is why I'm not calling it a left versus right thing. This is a populist versus not populist thing.
One group has all their leaders saying one thing, and it doesn't matter if their population agrees with them or not. And the other one says
it does matter.
The opposite. You can easily paint the picture that the left wing is pushing this, and the right wing is at least trying to fight against this.
Do you consider consider liberals to be part of the left wing in the United States? That might be the word the disagreement is.
What do you consider a liberal? I know what I consider a liberal, and then yes,
I don't know, fucking Ro Khanna or fucking Elizabeth Warner.
Joe Biden. Is Joe Biden left wing?
Yes.
But Joe Biden.
There you go. So then he's not. He's not. But if we're going to talk about American politics,
he's a fascist.
If we're going to talk about American politics with the left-right dichotomy, we have to loop everybody into that left-right dichotomy. And if we're going to do that, which is most people do, then we have to talk about how the right wing's thought leaders who are fucking buried in CEO money and billionaire money are going to bat for those CEOs and saying this is wrong. And then their audiences are fucking dragging them.
How do we
this
know
is a populist versus
come on to
it's their audience because left wingers do not have the amount of pull to go on there and do everything that you're talking about.
What do you mean? They're saying they're making YouTube comments.
No, I know, but I'm saying like there's not the deluge. That's what it is. The deluge of comments being made on these things. The deluge of people coming out and making TikTok videos, because a lot of this is happening on TikTok, which you don't use, Wick, so you're not seeing it. Are people on the right wing saying that yes, fuck that motherfucker? Are left winger people saying it? Yes, left wing people are saying it. I'm not denying that, but I'm saying it is not a left right thing. This is a deeper problem. There are people in the United States that are fed up with the entire way that the system is structured, and that is why there's this there's the righteous indignation and complete lack of care. It's not.
It absolutely is.
There very well could, just be clear. Like I agree with Wick. I think this is being primarily pushed by the left. I think that there are probably some like populist right people who are like laughing along with it, but I think that this comes from like fundamentally left wing, like a left wing orientation, at least when it comes to this, because
populist.
Yeah, sure. Populists are left wing on some issues, right? And I think on this issue they're being somewhat left wing, but the non-populist like right wing thought leaders, even the popular. I mean, is there any like right wing populists that have come out and
I
this?
can't think of a right wing influencer like a talking head.
Who are the right wing populists though? The populists aren't necessarily like popular.
Trump or anybody affiliated.
Not populist.
Tim Pool's not populist. What are you talking about?
No.
Yes, he is.
Tim Pool a populist?
Yes.
What left wing position?
Oh, wait. Do you think Trump is a populist?
Trump is a right wing populist.
Oh, sure.
Right wing.
No, I understand, but like a right wing populist has some left wing beliefs.
I mean, economically, sure.
Economically, like healthcare.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but Trump's not trying.
But Donald Trump is also a billionaire, and he has class interest with him being a billionaire. And Brian Thompson being at least a multimillionaire. I think billionaires and millionaires would probably want to protect a system that allows them to be millions and billionaires. And random vigilantes popping off CEOs is like the last thing they want.
Yeah, it's the same thing why Jeff Bezos didn't allow the Wall Street Journal, well, not Wall Street Journal, sorry, didn't allow the Washington Post to endorse Harris, and then came out in support of Trump, and then also has made the Washington Post do a bunch of what I'm calling Jeff Bezos posting in the last few days, defending the life of the CEO, despite the fact that their generalized audience is like, nah, fuck that guy. So
Calhoun, weren't you against vigilantism when we were talking about Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny?
Jordan Neely was a mentally unwell black man. He was a poor schmuck. Yeah,
so
Brian Thompson, he's a rich fuck.
No, hold on, whoa. He's a rich fuck and I hate those
honest.
people. Hold on, he's a rich fuck and I hate those people. He's being honest, but my genuine belief here, I think that sentiment is motivating probably 90% of the support here of the killing of Brian Thompson.
Yeah, but that's not just a.
They don't like rich people. That's what it is. They're jealous.
Let me correct you. It's probably about 99%. Because the working class, we hate millionaires and billionaires like Brian Thompson.
I'm part of the working class. I don't hate him.
Huh?
I'm part of the working class. I don't hate him.
You are not a part of the working class.
Then you're an
I
idiot.
work. What are you talking about?
Hold on.
Under Marxian theory, I am part of the working class.
Yes.
I don't go with Marx. I reject Marx. I think Marx is working
Then
class.
you don't know what working class means in this context that Calhoun's using it.
Okay.
What is working class if not like somebody like me?
College versus no college.
No, that's not working class.
Anybody with a college degree is not working
If
class.
you sell your labor to make money, you're working class.
Yes.
Okay, Eucharist
Wait.
has this definition, and it's a definition I like. It's the one I've been convinced by. If you have some college, you are not working class.
That's stupid, though.
That's a wild definition, but I just want to, Calhoun, just...
No, that's how right wingers approach it, though. They're right. Like that's why they think the liberals aren't working class anymore.
Here's how you know this is a dumb point. Does that mean that if you give everybody free
college? It's dumb.
Sure, but does that mean if you give everybody free college, now there's no longer such thing as a working class? Ridiculous. But I want to point out something like, oh, well, if you sell your labor for money, then you're part of the working class. You do know what a CEO is, right? A CEO is an employee of a company.
So again, with the
and they
Marxian
also own
definition, a
capital.
CEO is a working class. That's why that
Absolutely.
definition is retarded.
A CEO is a worker. Okay, there is a under Marxian
retarded.
theory.
That's
owns
why
stock
we
in the
reject
company
it.
Under
that they
no,
run.
it's not retarded.
Yeah,
Under,
I'm
under,
glad we
millions
have
of
that.
no, 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 no.
We have that
They bring
Wick.
home millions of
right?
dollars a year.
There's a difference between like the owner class, which would be like the investors, for example, and the working class, which would be the CEO and everybody down. Right? That is the
You are
separation.
incredibly stupid if you
No,
think
it's not about stupid. It's not about stupid. This is a petty bourgeoisie kind of argument. This is what he's talking about. I fucking read enough Marxian theory to understand this stuff. He would be considered either petty bourgeoisie or bourgeoisie because of the fact that he has investment and he doesn't have to work for a living. He chooses to work.
Wait. No. If you choose to work, you can still be part of the working class, even if you choose to work. Just to be
You're
clear,
technically part.
if he makes a salary but he doesn't get paid in any kind of like ownership shares of the company, then he is not a capitalist.
The vast majority of CEOs are paid.
Well,
The vast
the
majority.
vast
of CEOs
majority
are paid
was
for-
Brian
bourgeoisie,
Thompson.
and then there's the capitalist class. Bourgeoisie is not capitalist.
Yes, I understand. I understand that. I was saying that.
Well, I don't
it
think
could be. Yeah.
Real quick,
Well,
I wanted
just
to
to be
say,
clear, bourgeois can be also part of the working class, like the different like
Yeah,
proletariat.
the petty bourgeoisie are
literally
the ones
not.
that straddle it.
Yeah.
Even under
There's
Marxian theory,
petty
they straddle.
bourgeois, There's
As a former
There's also
Marxist, I know
class
these things.
But regardless, Marx is dumb and is.
It's not. No, it's Marxian lens to understand the world is actually very useful. Just like the right wing, is very useful to understand it from their perspective. If you want to have arguments about these things,
the reason it's useful to understand Marxian theory is so you can understand what other people are saying when they are applying the lens. But I'm arguing that trying to apply the lens to modern society is going to lead you to make stupid choices and make dumb decisions.
But
it's an incorrect way of looking at the world.
But critical analysis is actually incredibly useful in order to understand people's motivations.
Like the point is, the entire reason for reading Marxian theory is to understand where the theory comes from and what we should apply and what we shouldn't apply in certain aspects, and not something we should aspire to. Because at the end of the day, the best concept we have is capitalism. Like, there are aspects of socialism we need and we should improve on and expand on, but we don't actually have a concept or understanding of what a non-capitalist society would be. We like the idea of
North Korea.
We like the idea of fully society.
To bring it back to the point, though, right? Like Luigi's family was richer.
They were rich as fuck.
The CEO's family, right? The CEO had the kind of American dream upbringing, right? Brian Thompson came from I think his father was strictly working class, right? I forget. It's escaping me what his jet, but
he was
working through the ranks to get where he was.
His father, he was born middle class.
Rich nepo baby, right? Who was mad and angry.
Champagne socialist or a thing.
Right? Wasn't patient enough to wait for the system, decided to take in matters in his own hands, even after, in his own manifesto, recognizing that he didn't really understand the issue enough to really communicate it well. And so he decided that he was mad. And this makes perfect sense why a lot of people who have defended him are defending him, because they see themselves as that, right? They are rich nepo babies who've never really had to do anything in their life, who've never really had any real struggles, right? And
the vast majority of online communists are people that have done nothing but struggle their entire lives, either with money, mental illness, or abuse, or something else.
I can get behind you on the mental illness thing. Yeah, I can get you.
They're not champagne socialists like Hassan Piker. That's not what most of these people are.
Okay, when I'm talking about the vast majority, I'm talking about the influencers, the people who have followings, the people who
the majority of the influencers weren't like rich either. Like, they weren't champagne socialists. That's my point. They can be now, but they weren't.
I do gotta go though, guys. Catch you later.
Okay, I'll see you later, buddy.
Not everybody is Hassan. That's my point. Like, you can't look at these people like Hassan.
A large portion of them are.
Yeah,
I don't even say a large portion of them are.
Who gives a shit of what the influencers
Brandon, I want to hear from
Thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode of Lactoid TV. We're going to go ahead and raid on out into Whick, keep the content going. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. For those of you who commented, gave bits, subs, or followed, really appreciate it. Thank you. I hope you stick around, and I hope you have a great time. And we'll be putting out more content for you in the future. Catch you guys later.